tires. Start your engines!
Ready. Green flag. All rolling. All the way out. Stay in. Come on. Bye-bye, on in. See you later. These guys are really good. Keep digging. Stay in the gas. Hang on, dude, baby. Did not hit a thing. Why you wait so long, man? Bottom clear, shaking you down here. White flag. Hit your mark.
Hey everyone, and welcome to NWP tonight here on DannyBTalks. We are live for the next 2+ hours here with you, talking all the good old NASCAR things. You can see I'm decked up my Tennessee orange. We're going to the national championship. First time Tennessee's had a team play for a national championship since 2013. Joined by my usual friends here, Jarrett and Eric. All is right with the world, and Ryan Blaney is locked into the playoffs. We will not be without the reigning NASCAR Cup Series champion this year.
I'm going to own it now. I was wrong. I was wrong. I'll own it now. That way I'm not going to make an ass out of myself anymore with it.
Hey, you're getting it out of the way before everyone's filed in here. That's a cagey move right there. He's like, I'm not going to wait until peak time of the show when we have hundreds and hundreds of people. I'm going to sneak it in under the wire. Good stuff. But yeah, Ryan Blaney, as if there was really that much doubt. I don't know. I didn't feel like that. I wasn't doubting Ryan Blaney.
He's lost every way he could this year. He finally had to win one. That's
true. He was due. He was absolutely due. Can we talk about Team Penske for a moment? I know there's a lot of Penske haters out there, so let's slip this in before everyone files in. They've won 3 of the last 5 races, if you include the All-Star race. Logano, Cindric, and Blaney all have victories in the last month or so. I mean, is there something to that? They're also winning at all the shorter flat tracks. Phoenix is a short flat track. I was ready to hand this championship to Christopher Bell a couple weeks ago. Now I'm not so sure. Penske, they've won it back-to-back years for a reason. Is there a reason that we should, I don't know, be talking about the Fords now for the first time all year?
Well, it's just interesting because, SHR, we know we're saying goodbye. You're no longer what you were, and sayonara, it's been fun. But just when you thought that RFK or Front Row can try to surge to the top of the Ford food chain, Penske says, "Oh no! I am here. No. I am still Penske, and you shall not defeat me."
Well, it's really interesting, kind of looking stats wise at Joey Logano, right? So, he started the season a little bit off, had 3 top 10s though in the first 8 races, but the other races were really off. And it's odd since then because that was Martinsville. Before Gateway, his last point paying top 10 was Martinsville, which kind of again goes to that shorter track speed and dominance. Richmond was the other one. The only non-short track or shorter track top 10 for Joey Logano this year was Vegas. So, I mean, like these are the ones he's done it at. Richmond, Martinsville, Vegas, of course, Gateway, and Iowa.
Yeah, it's all flat ovals. It's their bread and butter. It's like a few years ago when we had 2 very different aero packages. Remember the end of the Gen 6, we had 2 completely different packages for short ovals versus intermediates. And I remember we all talked about Kyle Larson's dominating the 2021 season. And some of us were like, well, wait, but Martin Truex Jr. and Joe Gibbs Racing are dominating the short flat tracks. And what happened at Phoenix? Truex was going to win that race until a late race caution, and Larson had a great pit stop. But as far as pure speed, Truex and Gibbs outpaced Larson in that race. So Penske knows what they're doing. Again, there's a reason they're back-to-back champions. They focus on this type of track. So I guess hindsight's 2020, but Logano at Wilkesboro, Cindric at Gateway, Blaney at Iowa. I guess we should have seen this coming. I mean, I guess I'll just say congratulations to Ryan Blaney. Like you said, Danny, it's been a few gut punches recently to finally break through and get that win. A lot of folks were really happy to see that. Finally, just enough.
I'm just, if you're the competition looking ahead, I mean, you're at this point, playoff wise, one, you need to hope that Logano doesn't win, because if he does, he's been so consistent at those tracks. But if you're the competition, you almost have to be happy now that it's Atlanta and Watkins Glen that are at least wild cards. It might take them out in those first 2 races. before Bristol. I mean, because it basically, outside of Bristol, they don't go to a track smaller than a mile and a half until Martinsville in November. Like,
Yeah,
during
you
the playoffs.
end the year with those back-to-back short flat tracks, but yeah, you have to go through the gauntlet to get there. So plenty of time for Penske to get knocked out. We'll see what happens.
That is very true. But yeah, Ryan Blaney gets the win, but there's some more to talk about here. I think I should have Jarrett go up this one because he has a rather strong bias against one of the Trackhouse drivers when it comes to our NWP pick points now.
I'm very happy for Daniel Suarez this week off the track. On the track, what the hell? No, I'm kidding. Kyle Larson, I think personally, even though Blaney led the vast majority of this race, I think Larson had the best car. I mean, just going from 32nd to 4th on one fuel run. Granted, and I want to say this, I want to praise Iowa as a track because I think all of us were like, oh boy, maybe there's some good stuff that could happen, but this is not looking good. But they were able to pass, and now we actually have a real debate that we can talk about in a bit of whether or not we should fully have them repave it or just leave it as is. But Larson was charging, doing Kyle Larson things, being aggressive as hell, 3-4 wide through the pack of 100 some to go on restarts. Suarez gets loose underneath him, gets up into the 5. Very tight racing with it. I'm not egregiously against Suarez. I think it was his fault, but it's not one of those incidents where it's like, man, Suarez is going to get one back for that. No, it's like, it's just hard racing, and it also ruined the night for Denny Hamlin as well, which I thought was really funny because Hamlin was running like 34th off of speed and lapped. One of the first cars lapped, and then he got a good luck charm, and he still got knocked out.
That was the thing. Like, it's been such a rough couple of weeks for Denny, man. Blowing a motor on lap 2 at Sonoma, didn't even get a chance to race. And then basically on lap 2 at Iowa was 35th. And you're just like you said, the moment he was gifted track position, it still went wrong for him. But no, the Larson Suarez thing, yes, obviously Daniel Suarez is at fault for the crash. Like, Larson gave him enough room. The 99 just lost grip and he chased it a little and clipped the 5. Total accident, I believe, just unfortunate. A lot of folks trying to sort of victim blame Larson a little for squeezing 3 wide. And I think there's merit to the argument that, hey, you have the best car. It's still early enough in the race. Maybe you don't need to push it that hard on restarts. Have some awareness, know who you're around. That is a totally valid argument, I believe, but I don't want it to take away from the fact that Suarez caused the wreck. There are a lot of drivers who probably wouldn't get loose there or wouldn't have an issue there. A lot of cars that could handle racing 2 and 3 wide in that moment. The 99 just happened to not be one of them. The only reason it's worth talking about is going forward into the playoffs, when every race matters more, every position matters more. You got to be careful sometimes if you're Larson. We saw last year at Miami, was trying to get every little inch on that one pit stop, crashed into the water barrels entering pit road. Like, if he's so fast that he wins every round, he can overcome that, but you can't always bet on a win. So yeah, I guess risk versus reward, as always, will be something we talk about with Kyle Larson later in the season. It bit him, unfortunately, in this case, even though the wreck itself obviously was not his fault. I don't want it to sound like everyone's victim blaming Larson for Suarez just side swiping him effectively. Like,
he went full Suarez on that one.
A little bit. So I don't know, but it is put himself in a risky situation that he probably didn't have to. So that's, 9 times out of 10, maybe 99 times out of 100, nothing goes wrong there. But this was one of the times it bit him.
And I gotta say, man, this race was fun overall. Like, it was not, a banger in the sense of like Kansas, where it's gonna have this all-time great finish, all-time great racing, and this is gonna be one of those races you'll talk about 5-10 years from now when you're looking back on this decade. But like I said it this week in one of my videos, like, this is NASCAR done right. Like, everything to me, for the most part, outside of a few ticky-tack calls and little things here and there, the major things that we needed for a good weekend with racing, with the coverage, with the atmosphere, it was all there to me.
Yeah, it was, like you said earlier, we all worried this would be a one-groove racetrack. That's what drivers were talking about after testing a month ago. The repave was getting universally thumbed down across the board coming into the weekend. And even that first practice, a lot of blown tires, cut tires, issues. You hoped and wondered, can everyone get it figured out for the race? By Sunday night, everything was effectively perfect. I did notice it was harder for guys to pass once the sun went down and the track gripped up a little bit more. Speeds picked up. So maybe in the future, I know it's hot, but maybe you start the race an hour or two earlier. Theoretically, it's just a suggestion. I know they were trying to line it up with, was it the US Open golf tournament was also on NBC. I think NBC was broadcasting that on NBC, but they still didn't want their two big sports to overlap. But no, other than that, it was a good race. They actually had 2 to 3 grooves of racing, more passing than expected, and the crowd at Iowa showed up and showed out. It looked like they've been hungry for a cup race for almost 20 years. So I was glad to see that the race itself delivered in every way except for that one ticky-tack caution at the end of stage 2, which luckily didn't ultimately impact the winner because Blaney got kind of screwed by that ticky-tack caution. He was one of the guys who had already pit. He wasn't off the lead lap, but it forced him to, I think, restart I don't remember exactly. Maybe he had to restart 6th when he should have been 1st or 2nd, but he still overcame that to get the win. So even the one bad call didn't ultimately decide the winner, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, I was really scared this was going to feel like just another version of Richmond, but it didn't feel like that to me. I missed the first little bit of, or at least didn't get to really watch too much because we were driving back from Indianapolis. Hello.
I've just been delivered is this cookies and cream?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I've been delivered a cookies and cream milkshake to celebrate an amazing Iowa race.
Everyone say hello to Eric's fiance, Amelia.
I can't hear what anybody is saying.
Danny just said hello. That's all
Hi,
I said.
Danny. Hi, Jared.
Hi. Go Balls, yeah.
Oh yeah, you can tell what Danny's doing with his hands there. You saw you okay.
From Tennessee.
Well, thank you for the milkshake.
You're welcome. Okay.
You interrupted Danny's mind-blowing point he was making. So
I'm so sorry, Danny.
No, this is way more important.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. All right. I didn't even know she went to Chick-fil-A, but all right, now we're locked and loaded. Let's start.
You got the grilled chicken?
Let's start the show.
You got the grilled chicken?
You have the grilled chicken.
Where is the grilled chicken?
She's hiding. She's holding out on me.
This man is conflicted. I see Raising Cane's on his t-shirt.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, what is
Raider to the gallows?
Wait, what even is this shirt? Is this like Statue of Liberty, but it's Raising Cane?
We're so off topic. I'm so sorry, but this is from when we were in New York City last year. There's a Raising Cane's in Times Square, and they have New York themed merchandise. So it's the Statue of Liberty torch with chicken fingers coming out of
really
the top. I don't know what it says. Chicken fingers for all or something.
Well,
anyway, I'm sorry, Danny. You were talking about the repave in Iowa, but yeah, I wish I could share this with you guys. You can
Anyways, I'll let you enjoy your milkshake there.
Hell yeah.
We were driving back from the Indiana Fever game, got to go see Caitlin Clark. And so on the way back, we were kind of back and forth listening to Tennessee baseball, listening to race. And when I finally got to sit down and watch, say, more dedicated to the race itself, what I did watch was really enjoyable. This didn't feel like the short tracks, the Richmond race that we've seen this year, where it was just not fun to watch, which I'm pleasantly surprised. Maybe it's the heat, maybe it's just a little something different about this track. I don't know, but it seemed like this was right.
It felt sustainable. Like the Bristol race was fun, and I would love if we could get it to be like that. Maybe tone it back just a tad, but in general be like that. But it definitely felt like something that was a perfect storm. This felt like something that can actually be replicated and replicated for a long time and not just like a one-off here or there.
Absolutely. Yeah. This race. So that's the question is, should they fully repave the track? I think they can if they want, but they don't need to. That's the truth. Maybe they should go ahead and bite the bullet now, because the last thing you want is 6 years from now they do. And it's now you have, again, 2 very uneven grooves potentially. Maybe they should just rip the Band-Aid off and do it now. But if they ran it back and ran this exact same configuration a year from now, I don't think anyone would really complain. I
mean, and I know a lot of people are like, well, why would you have basically, I know it's asphalt, but basically 2 different surfaces like Martinsville doesn't exist, Mm-hmm. I mean, this reminded me of basically asphalt Martinsville, where you need to be in that groove. I don't think a lot of us realize, I think, how wide that repaved groove actually was, because the videos and pictures they showed, I think, were more ground level, so it looked like it was only a 1 groove, kind of grip strip, rather than what could fit 3, sometimes 4 cars in there.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It looked narrower, the initial footage. But once you got there, it was like, oh, 3 wide is possible. Okay. I mean, I still get it looks ugly. Some people said it looks ugly that there's like a giant dark grip strip, on the inside of the two sides of the corners, it's not the most visually pleasing. And there is a lot of wasted asphalt that really only exists to maybe catch the car if you wipe out. But yeah, I don't think they need to touch it too much. I'm just glad they had practice this weekend, a full hour practice session, because otherwise I'm not sure they would have caught all those tire issues and we may have seen a huge issue. Christopher Bell, his mind was blown when they started popping tires in practice because he did the test a month ago and didn't see any of that coming.
Yeah, and what we would have seen during the race, more than likely, because a few people I knew at the track had let me know that NASCAR let them actually tinker with the air pressures and different things like that. As Eric
this is not on that website, Eric.
It's a thick milkshake, damn it. I gotta
anyway, but NASCAR let them tinker with it after what they learned in practice. We would have spent the entire probably good part of this race, because again, it did get a little difficult to pass, but it wasn't impossible though, but in the dark. But we would have spent the majority, if not the entirety, of the daylight portion of this race dealing with blown tires, maybe having to have comp yellows. Yeah, I get saving it, but they were saving it in practice and still going only 20 laps before it blew out. And they managed through having a real practice session that people, from what I could tell based on social media blowing up about it, were tuned into to fix it. So I'm just saying.
I watched a little bit of practice. I'll admit it. I'll put my money where my mouth there. Not my time where my mouth is. I watched about half of practice. I did, and partially because I was curious to see what the NBC booth would sound like without Dale Earnhardt Jr. And we'll talk about NBC in a moment.
I got a hot take about that in a moment that I was surprised that I had.
We can. I don't. Danny, you're hosting tonight. I don't mean to move us along here, but we can talk about NBC because I don't think there's much else to say about the repave. My last thought on that was, even going back to Bristol, it's incredible how on the fly these teams and crew chiefs can make seemingly small changes to the cars that make all the difference. Like even Bristol, they were blowing tires in 20 laps, 30 laps. By the end, the leaders were going 60, 70 or whatever it was. They were able to double their run distance just within the race itself. So just shout out to the teams for being adaptable and smart, and Goodyear gets a shout out as well for that. But let's talk NBC.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because for once we finally didn't have to deal with cutting to random stuff. I mean,
you mean like
I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts on the way this race is presented as opposed to what we've had to deal with, especially in these last few weeks with Fox?
Like I said, like this and zoomed right in on you.
That's funny. Visual comedy.
I'm gonna have a bit of hot take here.
Oh boy.
I actually kind of like it better than last year because I think they toned it back a little bit.
Ooh.
I think that with Dale Jr.
What do you mean by toned it back?
They didn't, and granted, maybe this also had to do with Steve Letart's laryngitis that probably helped with this, but they didn't reach a new octave. Burton didn't. Burton actually seemed like he had more of a responsibility on the broadcast to actually bring that driver perspective more rather than lean on Dale Jr. to do it. And if they're able to keep it a little more toned back and not yell the whole time, I think it'd be a huge improvement over last year. I think Dale Jr. coming in when he did help them get energy, because that was the thing for me, is the energy for me was misplaced pre-2018, and I didn't like the chemistry between them. But I think the thing that I miscalculated on is that Burton, Letart, and Allen have worked together on air for 7 years since then and have improved a lot. And I think that now that Burton and Letart had to shoulder more of that responsibility live, I think it actually improved them because they had to stay on task and focused and not just, whoa, like that.
Apologies to our headphone users.
Yeah, that was obviously pretty rough for them. Jared, I'm gonna ask you a question here, put you on the spot. Mm-hmm. Because we actually got something that basically only you have been providing people for a long time. Actual extended post-race coverage. Are you kind of sad that they're kind of doing that to try to take away your numbers?
No, because this race went by pretty quick. I'm more than certain that NBC will have cut post-race coverage still. when races go long towards the end of the year like they always do. I'm actually happy about it though. Like and this is probably not the best thing for me to say, but it should not be a YouTuber that you immediately think of when it's what should I watch as soon as the checkered flag falls. I'm happy with it, and I welcome everybody to come on over, but it should be on the broadcast covering a national sporting league to actually cover that sporting league. That's how it should be.
Well, I just want to give a shout out to USA Network. And Jared, I don't know if you had these numbers prepared, but you forwarded some numbers you got from J-Ski earlier in the week to me. And I just felt in general the amount of care and camera time that NBC USA gave the racing was such a breath of fresh air. Yeah, I know you had the specific numbers, but when I talked on my post-race show, I'm like, even the commercials, we complain about FS1 and Fox's commercials and timing. I felt like there were far fewer full screen commercials over green flag racing this weekend, and you had the numbers to actually support that.
Yeah, so J-Ski had put down the breakdown. I want to credit them on it. But only, this is good for NASCAR standards, but not in general, but only 23% of the race is under commercial. 7% of the race was under side-by-side, so 12 minutes, which I thought felt like a lot more.
Yeah.
But 16%, or only 28 minutes, were full screen. A majority of that was actually, though, under stage breaks and cautions. And the last breakdown that J-Ski did for commercials that I could use as a comparison was Kansas on FS1. Cable race.
That was only like a month ago. That was recent. Yeah.
Similar viewership, similar time. FS1 had 30% of that race under caution, 4% of the race.
So back up. So that was 26% of the race for NBC was under caution.
23.
Or was 23% for NBC was under commercial. 30% under FS1 was under commercial.
Yep.
Okay, so that's a notable difference.
4% was side by side in that race, 8 minutes. So 4 less minutes for a similar size broadcast. Actually, a longer broadcast, I believe, for FS1.
So they had more commercial breaks in the FS1 broadcast and still less minutes under side by side than USA.
46 minutes of that FS1 broadcast, or 26% of the total broadcast, was full screen, meaning they had more full screen commercials under their broadcast than NBC had total commercials in this race.
So yeah, that confirms what my eye test was telling me, that this race felt like it had a better pace to it, more attention to detail, less interruptions. It is a big thing. I hope NBC's getting their money's worth. I hope they made money on this broadcast. I want them to enjoy their NASCAR partnership. But that's huge, to not have so many poorly timed commercials covering up the action. It makes all the difference in the 21st century, specifically in the year 2024. And there are so many entertainment content options a click away that don't have commercials. You gotta evolve. You have to innovate. So I respect USA Network and NBC for doing that in this case. Now we have to keep in mind, when they put a race on big NBC that's not cable, there will be more commercials, but hopefully it's less than the races on Fox, which falls into the same problem. So beyond just the commercials though, the other details I noticed from NBC, they did a lot more split screen, 2 and 3 wide, different angles, showing multiple battles at one time. I don't know that Fox did that all year, honestly. They never did that. They almost never put 2 or 3 windows on screen with different battles. NBC deserves a ton of credit. The final 12 laps of stage 1, the entire 12 laps, they had 3 cameras the whole time until the final 100 yards where they had to say, Blaney wins the stage.
I got a theory about that. Is they've had to cover so many different bubble battles in the last 10 years during the playoffs, especially think of Martinsville, for instance, think of Bristol. They're probably used to it. And I'm not saying that to bail out Fox here, but more just Fox hasn't had to deal with that part of it. Where NBC has the crunch time part of the year, Fox has the sort of oh my God, guys, we're back. Woohoo. Yeah. And we can, and the thing is that I think we put up with it a bit the start of the year. I still think Fox started the year better than last year. They just got worse.
Fox was better this year. The thing with Fox was the booth really wasn't a huge problem. Not everyone's going to love every little bit of banter, but the booth was overall fine. It was what we focused on here: commercials, cuts, cameras. That's where Fox just dropped the ball. NBC came out of the gate strong, so I'm excited to see how the rest of this year plays out.
What do you think, Danny?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that it's going to work out pretty good. Yeah, I think it is unfortunate to know we're a year without Dale Jr. back in the booth, but maybe absence makes the heart grow fonder a little bit, and we'll find that out when we get back with him and his new team next year.
It'll make when Amazon, and I think it's Amazon first, when they take over next year, it'll be even extra interest because it'll be like, oh, Dale, just haven't seen him in 2 years. Ooh.
And he's going to be at his hometown track. I mean, I don't get me wrong. When I said earlier that I think NBC is better this year, at least the first weekend without Junior in there, that does not mean I don't want to see Junior in the booth. I think he is a plus for especially a booth either that's new or that needs a change in direction like NBC needed, because he will bring that energy, whether it's good, bad, misplaced, whatever. Junior is going to bring the energy because he has the passion for the sport, and I'd much rather take yelling with passion than, oh, there he goes.
Yep, exactly. And Danny, you've mentioned this before, but you'll hear when you have a scanner at the track, you'll hear Harvick and Boyer sort of directing cameras during commercial breaks. Yep. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to be great at that. You know, he knows what the fans want to see. So that's important for a new broadcast partner.
Indeed. With that being said, I guess we can move on to the next topic at hand, and that is Chase Elliott is quietly having one of his greatest seasons ever, leading the points after another solid run. Like, what do we think about this?
Another top five. His average finish somehow keeps getting better. It's 9.1, by far the best in the series. He's only got the one win, but he's only got like one finish outside of the top 15. I think his worst finish of the year is a 19th. Like, that's insane levels of consistency from Chase Elliott. Some people were comparing it to Matt Kenseth's 03 run. This is looking better than Matt Kenseth's 03 run. Matt Kenseth's 2003 run, I looked it up, his average finish was like 10.2. So Chase Elliott's averaging a whole position better in an era where the cars are supposedly as equal as they've ever been. So Chase Elliott, Alan Gustafson, they deserve a ton of credit. It's not been flashy, but leading the points more than halfway through the regular season, that's worth serious stage points by the end of the year if they can keep this up.
Yeah, I mean,
or playoff points.
Looking at how he's been, doing this year. He's one of the only drivers, actually, of like the main charter drivers. Can you guys guess the only driver outside of Chase Elliott who doesn't have a DNF this year?
Oh, I actually know it, I think. No, maybe I don't. I'll go Alex Bowman.
Yeah, I'm going to guess Bowman as well.
He has one. It is Daniel Hemrick.
Oh, yeah. Daniel Hemrick, regular season champion.
I guess just because you have a DNF doesn't mean you're always on the lead lap.
Yeah, because guys like Truex only have one. Bowman only has one. There's a lot that only have one DNF this year so far. But I mean, man, Elliott is just every category. He's either tied for the top, like top fives. He's up there with guys like Byron, Hamlin, and Keselowski, and Larson. Top tens, he's only beat by Reddick, Bell, and Bowman. The only one that he's not is laps led. And
that's the thing, is the numbers that jump out at me with Elliott are the one win. And remember, there were a lot of things that had to fall his way for that win to happen. Let's just be honest. He had a top five car, but a lot had to go his way. He's only led 137 laps. For comparison, Hamlin has led over 600. Larson over 700. Truex 400 plus. Shoot, even Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, Ty Gibbs have all led over 300 laps this year, and only one stage win for Chase Elliott. Like, he's going to get a lot of playoff points if he wins the regular season championship, or more realistically finishes second to Larson, because I think that's what's probably going to happen. But to make it to the championship four, he's also going to need to rack up some stage wins and race wins, and that's the only thing they're not doing. So right now, I think Elliott's a legit round of 8 threat, but I'm not sure I'd put him in my championship 4. Consistency matters a lot, but you also have to consistently win late in the year, like the Penske guys have done in years past. And I don't know if he can do it. That's the only thing he's not showing me is winning speed.
They're on the other end, complete other end of the spectrum here when it comes to numbers. I want to ask you guys mini trivia here. It's only going to be like a 1 or 2 rounder here.
Oh boy.
Of these three, who has led the least amount of laps this year? Alex Bowman, Ricky Stenhouse, and Harrison Burton.
Who's led the least? Oh, actually, no, I know who it is because I looked this up recently, because it's also my knock against this guy. That's Alex Bowman. Is the number still 6?
It's Alex Bowman. Yeah, he's
Stenhouse
hardly
has
been in the
5.
lead ever.
What? Stenhouse has less laps led than Bowman?
He has 5 laps led.
Why would you trick us? I thought the point you were trying to make was that Alex
No,
Bowman,
because
even though he's been really good this year.
Harrison Burton has more than both of them.
Well, that is pretty
Burton
crazy.
has 7 and Bowman has 6.
Yeah, Bowman hasn't. I looked this up the other day. As good as Bowman's been, ton of top 10 finishes. He has a good average finish.
He got another one this weekend.
Exactly. He's got 0 laps led his past 12 races. Like, that's crazy. That's insane.
Wait, oh my gosh! I don't even think I knew this. He started 33rd on Sunday and finished 8th.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That had to have been passing most cars, right?
That probably
maybe
be
Larson. But other than that,
yeah.
yes.
Oh wait, no, Stenhouse started 35th and got 5th. Never mind.
But he played that strategy on that one caution. He
Sure.
made up his track position through that deal.
Bowman actually went a lap down at one point too, so that was even better to have a rally for that one.
I swear, I mean, and the crazy thing about Bowman too is like, 10 top 10s. He's tied for the lead in the series with top 10s. He's only got 4 top 5s. And when you look at who he's tied with, it's kind of crazy. It's MTJ and Ty Gibbs.
Good milkshake. Well, with Bowman, I looked at this up the other day as well. I'm going to confirm it here. He's 12th in points because everybody ahead of him in the regular season standings has more stage points than him. So he's got 0 stage wins. He's got fewer stage points than anyone in the top 12. There are guys like Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric have more stage points this year than he does. So that's the thing, is like he's getting the finishes. He's finishing 8th, 7th, 8th, 9th every week. That's great, but he's not leading laps. He's not scoring top 5s. He's not getting all those important stage points. So that's why I like what Bowman has done this year, but he's not fully realizing his potential, unfortunately.
He's not as flashy as his other Hendrick, teammate.
The only Hendrick guy that's been flashy this year really is Larson. Even Byron's been kind of quiet. He finished 2nd this last race, and we aren't even talking about him because
Byron is the strangest case to me because he will start off a year so dominant. Then in the summertime, he's either right there or he's back of Bowman in the back hanging out with him or something.
Okay, this is because I was thinking, okay, you talked about Bowman had started 33rd, and so and I hadn't looked into it really much, and I was thinking, well, maybe Bowman just hasn't been starting well. That's why it doesn't stage points. Listen to all of his starting positions since Richmond: 4th, 10th, 14th, 12th, 9th, 18th, 18th, 6th, 14th, 8th, and then a 33rd. That's insane.
His qualifying has been getting better,
but he should. I mean, he is within all of those races outside of Iowa. He's within 8 positions of the top 10. He should be scoring more points during at least the first stage. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 top 10 starts in that, and another one that's 12th, 14th. He should be in there more.
He is the one car who seems like how they unload, how they qualify is literally as fast as they are. Yeah. They just can't seem to get a car that they make better in the race and get him where he needs to be.
That might be true. He is in a decent points position, though, which I want to transition to because...
Yeah, I kind of want to combine where we're at now, another point that was in there, because we can kind of loop that into the playoff cut line and talk about that.
I'll pop it on screen right now.
Beautiful.
So with 9 races to go right now, we have pretty stacked run up to the playoffs here. We've got Ross Chastain in 12th, 71 points to the good. Ty Gibbs is 1 point behind him, 70 points above the cutoff line. And 14th, we do have Alex Bowman, 66 execute order, 66 points ahead of the playoff cutoff line. Chris Buescher wishes he was locked in at this point, was so close a couple times. Very, very close, particularly at Kansas. He's 27 points to the good in 15th. And this is getting insanely close. And had Josh Berry pulled off a miracle, we'd be talking about a lot more different scenarios than this. But Bubba Wallace is now 16th, 6 points ahead of Joey Logano, who of course is in 17th, 6 points back. And this guy continues to fall even more, especially after another hit this weekend at Iowa in a race where he was having a good run, honestly needed to have a good run. Kyle Busch is 31 points back, and then Chase Briscoe is the last one who's really at a threat to get in, 44 points back in 19th.
Yeah, Kyle Busch, mechanical issues, I guess. I don't know if there was some contact that maybe led to the initial problems, but then Busch brought it to pit road and there were a ton of other issues, so they retired from the race. So it's tough because it's at least a couple races in a row now. I think of Sonoma, where he probably had a fifth or sixth place run going before he got dumped and then also ran out of gas. And now this, he probably had a top 10, maybe a top 5 run going. Like those are extremely important points that a guy like Kyle Busch in his position right now, his points position, I should say, can't afford to be giving up. And we'll talk later about some of the comments he's made and some of the frustration he seems to be showing with that team overall. But it's tight. You look at that, and Joey Logano, the recent champion, you feel confident he's trending the right direction with how strong Penske has been lately, and Ford in general has found something. You look at Chris Buescher, I think he'll be okay. I'm confident there. He turned it on last summer. Bubba Wallace is the guy I'm concerned with. Only 6 points to the good. He snuck into the playoffs before, but nobody sees him as like a playoff lock by any means. We'll have to see. I like the poll you just put here. Most likely to make the playoffs: Wallace, Logano, Busch, or Chase Briscoe, who, like Josh Berry, had a solid run going, but he had an issue on pit road, I believe, that then sort of compounded when he got caught a lap down by that stage 2 caution. Otherwise, Briscoe would have potentially been in the mix for a top 10. But I'd be curious. Most likely to make the playoffs. I have a feeling I know where the chat's going to go on this.
They're going to Logano right now for their selection. I'm kind of with them on that one.
Yeah.
I don't like the way Bubba's going. I talk about William Byron. Bubba Wallace is a lot like William Byron, except Byron gets wins and Bubba doesn't.
And I'd say Joey Logano is my pick. I'd say Bubba Wallace is number 2 on my list with that. Kyle Busch is last. I mean, he feels like, it feels like he's in a spiral.
I need to see what happens this week. I need to see what he does this weekend. Because, again, he's had top 5 speed 2 weeks in a row. They've just had bad things happen. He said some stupid stuff in the media. If they can put that behind them and bring a top 5 car again to New Hampshire, I'm not off the Kyle Busch train yet, but I'm with you. It's floundering.
I mean, I didn't like the way Gateway went for him. It's basically Gateway again.
Well, if this is Joe Gibbs Racing, I'd be on that train of being like, okay, I think they can put it behind him. But does Richard Childress really foster that kind of environment to put controversy behind them like that? I mean, it's just that's kind of how he's been for the most part in recent years. And I want to double check because I believe Kyle Busch is very hit or miss at Loudon. He was 36th last year.
He had a year where the rain wrecked him on lap 10 or whatever it was.
21 because
you can't fault him for that.
But I'm looking more next gen wise. How did he do that first year? So 12th back when he was. Oh, that's right. He had that like cursed DeWalt 18 car.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if this is the right track coming up for him to like turn it around, and especially like with the way that team has been trending, the way that Richard Childress is as an owner nowadays, and the way that Kyle Busch talked in the media, it's like that's just a bad storm. If there's anyone that can make it up, I get it is Kyle Busch, but he's also not any younger than he used to be either.
And Kyle Busch hasn't looked like a consistent championship threat in 5 years.
No.
Like we can talk the first 3 or 4 months of last season, we were all like, Kyle Busch is going to win 5 races.
And we looked to be on the right train at the time.
He won 3. It's not like we were far off.
He won 3 in 13 races, man.
But I'm saying is for those 13 races, he looked like a championship threat, but that's a third of a season. That's not even half the year. So I'm saying since 2019, he hasn't gone more than that 13 race stretch with like looking like a championship contender. He was off his game the end of his Gibbs tenure. He's been a little off his game the past year. I'm with you. It doesn't look great, but they have had top 5 speed recently. Some of the pit road gremlins seem to have worked themselves out. So I just want to see if they bounce back from all the bad vibes. I'm not off the 8 car entirely. He's a 2-time champion. I know he's battling another 2-time champion for that playoff spot, but I can't. I've been very critical of Kyle Busch this week, but even so, he's talented enough.
He still has never had a season where he didn't get a win.
Exactly. Like as long as that record is still standing, I have a hard time not fully believing in Kyle Busch.
But then again, I've seen this story before. Going into 2018, Jimmy Johnson never had a season where he didn't win at least 2 races, and then he went winless the rest of his career.
That's equally. I think it's equally possible. Busch makes the playoffs, wins a couple races, or he goes winless forever. I think it could both happen.
Going into 2008, Jeff Gordon, I don't think had a winless season in how long, if ever. I think he might. Well, did he? I think he had it in his rookie year. I'm not a Jeff Gordon historian, but people talk.
You don't know every fact of Jeff Gordon that ever existed, Jared.
What's his middle name?
I grew up on the Earnhardt side of things. But when you look at that span from the start of 08 to the end of 2010, he had the same amount of wins as Dale Jr. And Jr. was awful at that time. Not saying Gordon was as bad, but it's like streaks can't, like in NASCAR, I think are meant to be broken. Like that's just how it is. And then the way that between the team itself at RCR with Kyle Busch, between the driver, it's like somebody has to step up and be a leader. Richard Childress, I don't know what the hell it is the last couple of years, but he is not a leader there. Like he is the one who's throwing gasoline on a fire he lit and then blaming the guy in the other corner of the room, ignoring him for why that fire happened. Kyle Busch, like you can see almost like a regression off the track now with how he acts in the media. And I don't see any of those crew, the crew chief. I don't see the crew guys, anyone like that. I don't see them stepping up to him. Like it's Kyle Busch. Like I will defer to Kyle Busch because of how good he is, but that can also lead you off a cliff a little bit.
I just think Kyle Busch has never been good in the face of adversity. That's true to when he was in his prime, winning, even 2017, punches Joey Logano, go back to 2010, 2011, getting himself suspended during a playoff race or, for a chase race. Like when things are bad, he overreacts, he makes mistakes, he lashes out. And even at nearly 40 years old, that's still kind of the case. It is hard to truly build around someone who's a little volatile like that. But I hope if they keep bringing the speed, they'll figure it out. I'm not off the 8 car entirely yet. I do think Logano has the best shot though of those bubble drivers of getting in. That's the easy pick.
He seems to be keeping it together. Like that's the thing is like he had those issues early in the year, and you can actually, I think you can compare Logano and Kyle Busch pretty well this year. Like they both have had very tumultuous starts this year. They both have had different issues that were out of their control. Because let's not pretend that like Kyle Busch is the main issue. Like I'm not going to say that. Look at Las Vegas. He was running up. I think he was actually running with Kyle Larson during a lot of the first half of that race, and issues beyond his control with the crew, especially the first 3 weeks. But I mean, look where they're at right now. That is a 25-point gap, and it's not like Logano and that 22 team are great by any means, but they're keeping composure together. I think that if Busch and that team can do that, I think that they'll be right there with Logano. I think with composure, Kyle Busch and that 8 team could go past Bubba Wallace easily.
The thing that's just scaring me with Kyle Busch is that only, I don't know, a couple months ago, he was in the playoffs, wasn't he? On points, he was in there, and now he's fell out to this point. It just seems like his hole is getting worse and worse.
It's going to be interesting, though. I mean, it levels the playing field, having a really talented driver in a generally lesser team.
It's interesting. So how far can he drag them? Can he drag that team into the top 16? I still think it's possible, albeit unlikely.
Well, with that said, we can move on into talking about the TV ratings for this race. First race back with NBC and USA. How did they do? Well, we'll talk about this in predictions later. Not as good as I thought, but they did have a 1.4 rating and earned 2.693 million viewers, which is up 5% in viewership from the Atlanta summer race last year, which was the first USA race of last year. This was also the most watched cable NASCAR race since Pocono 2023. So that's some encouraging numbers to see right there in that aspect of it. But what we care about more is less about the TV viewers and more about our viewers. What did you guys think with the famous iceberg poll?
Go for it, Danny.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You always read the comments and it throws me off. 15,000 of y'all voted on this one. 35% of you said it was a great race. 51% say it was a good race, giving this an 86% positivity. 11% of you said this is just average, just what you see any other week. 1% of you said this is below average. 2% of you said it was bad. Hello, Kyle Larson fans. You make up 3% net negativity.
The first comment came from Napa Racing Fan. Positive, negative, meme, or mix of those?
I think it'll be positive. I think everyone was in a good mood after this race.
I'm just going to say it's a meme. We'll stick the memes around here.
If you build it, they will come. Rusty Wallace, probably.
That's a meme.
I guess that's a meme.
Positive meme. Tank Slapper on my end had the top comment here saying camera work was superb from NBC today, showing minor incidents that Fox couldn't even dream of capturing. Use of side-by-side cameras instead of focusing on one thing at a time. What a breath of fresh air. And I'll add to that, one thing I don't think we covered is they interviewed every driver who had an issue. Like any driver who had an issue, got knocked out of the race, they interviewed them like right away. You could tell they were studying up on the criticism that Fox got.
And they were quick to address when drivers had notable issues. In fact, so much so that there was one point, I think it was the Justin Haley equipment interference penalty, that they didn't get to mention that until like a little bit after it had happened. Oh, hey, by the way, the 51's not up there anymore because of this. And when that happened, it stood out to me because it was like the one time the whole broadcast where they were seemingly a little off their game or trying to play catch up. You know, the rest of the time they were on top of it. And that's where Kim Kuhn, Dave Burns, Marty Snyder, up and down pit road, they were fantastic. I know the little gimmick they did in stage 2 with Bell and LaJoie's crew was kind of hit or miss, but it was at least them trying something different. And they were just so on top of it. Like honestly, I hate to do this. We commend Jamie Little and a lot of the folks at Fox, and they do a pretty good job. You know, we all agree Jamie Little's was good. Jamie Little's that's a great point. I'm glad you said that because I was about to be negative against Jamie Little on accident, but that's a great point. The crew spotlights are a good thing. But like somehow even USA NBC made Fox's pit road reporting look lesser. That's how I felt, at least. Maybe that's me just drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm fully bought in. It's just so nice to see someone other than Fox on Sundays. But that's how it felt to me. Like even the pit road reporting was exceptional.
Well, I think NBC, unlike Fox, like don't get me wrong, they're not perfect. And there's plenty of room for improvement to modernize the broadcast more. But NBC at least has earned the benefit of the doubt when things go wrong. It's not there's been very few, I'd say, because Fox, I think, really started going really far off the track around 2019 or so is when we all started to notice. There's been very few NBC train wreck broadcasts where it's like, okay, like you need to, this cannot happen again. You've went overboard. Like, I personally think 2022 Atlanta was like the closest I think they've come in recent years to a train wreck when it was just
was that the Dawsonville race?
Yeah, the beating you over the head over and over.
That was excessive. But Fox has their own version at Martinsville this year. It was,
but my point is more like that's not the norm. With Fox, like they do that a couple times a year. With NBC, I got to think of something that happened 2 years ago. And again, they've had mediocre broadcasts at times too. They're not perfect. I don't want people thinking they are. We need to hold them to the same standard we hold Fox. But I understand why people don't.
Yeah, because there for a little bit, that Atlanta race when they had I'm blanking on his name. Who's the guy who was at the pool room and it would be like Rutledge. Everywhere else. Yeah, they would have Rutledge Wood anywhere else but at the racetrack there for a little while.
That was a good running joke.
He was getting further away, and then ultimately he was just very far away. He's gone. He just disappeared.
What is Rutledge Wood doing nowadays?
Wearing flannel still, probably. I'm
gonna look it up while you continue reading the chat or the comments.
Yeah, I'm very curious. What does Rutledge Wood do today?
We started his Twitter, but keep reading the poll, Jarrett.
Well, Brassmaster says strategy, passing, multiple grooves, tires, and a green flag finish. Nice.
His Twitter bio says he's the host of Hot Wheels Ultimate Challenge.
Oh, I think I did hear about this show, actually, yeah.
I've heard of the show. I've not seen it, but that may be what he's the number one doing right now.
He's very far away from the track.
Blank username says, as a fully biased Blaney fan, this race was a 10 out of 10. At least they own it. Boiler Coasters says, besides Bristol, probably the best short track race of the year. Also love the NBC is back.
Agree on both.
Scroll down here. Let's see. Zachary Bush says the Great Massacre of Tires. I'd say that's Bristol.
Yeah, because Blaney won this race on like 120 lap left side tires, so only half the tires are really getting beat up.
No, Bristol's tire massacre was worse than Uncle Howdy's massacre to the WWE roster.
Lord Getty here says the Larson fan in me is hella depressed, but the race fan in me is excited. We got a great short track race and a good ass broadcast. Let's go.
Let's go, indeed.
One more, and then we'll go to the gutter comments. Let's see. I like this one here. Red Knight Senior 69, nice, says, did anyone get the impression that this race felt like Old Richmond? I to a degree. I mean, it had Old Richmond races always managed to have one or two kind of like weird, crazy, kind of fun moments or crashes or something that would happen where you're like, oh man, that changes everything. And they kind of had that. They had that with the Larson crash. There was a good amount of passing in Old Richmond races. I think it's just with this, it's more banking, and the race was probably faster. That's how I felt, at least. It felt like a fast-paced race. But with that, if we don't have anything else to add, let's go to the gutter. And
get in there. Show me that gutter.
Let's see. I can read the bottom one. I can read that one. Okay, here we go. I know
someone said NBC canceled Hot Wheels Ultimate Challenge.
Oh no, is that true?
He's wearing flannel on the couch now.
Well, Rutledge needs to update his Twitter bio then. I don't. Sorry, man.
Well, Nathaniel Nadeau here with the first one. It's edited, but it's still in the gutter. Says, I'll admit it. NBC is 10,000 times better than Fox, but I do hate the Fox shit talk. I grew up with it on Fox. I love Mike Joy. I know it's not him. I just wish Fox was like NBC. I think it's because he probably said something semi-positive about Fox.
I relate to that. At Fox, up until about 2019 or so, I would have said Fox was better.
Yeah.
Like, not even close. And it's just the last 5 years, it's flipped completely.
Burnouts by the Bay said two things improved: the broadcast with NBC and the next-gen short track package.
I don't know if the package has improved that much. I mean, it's definitely better than when they started, but I think it was more just this track race is almost like an intermediate with multiple grooves, thankfully. Just enough multiple grooves that we had some movement.
And Ben Hughes just said bad. That was the lowest voted comment.
Bad. It's bad.
I will say this, and thank you everybody who voted on the poll. I will say this about the Fox defenders. There is a section of this fan base who will defend Fox like to the end of the earth and back, and will dislike bomb stuff if you say anything about Fox. And here's the thing: I get if it's a driver you doing that, or even a team like Hendrick or Penske. It's a freaking corporation's broadcast. Like, is it really that important that they're not going to give you perks, guys? They're still going to have to pay the same amount on your cable bill.
It's like, I'm sorry, guys. Fox doesn't need you to be a white knight for them.
Yeah, I know. It's wild to me. Like, this is the hill you want to die on. Like,
that's a weird one.
Like, Fox, I thought you'd want, even if you really like Fox and it improves, like, that's just better for you. That's just, there's no other way to put it. It's better for Fox to improve for you, no matter how good or bad they are. Why would you be against people wanting them to be better?
Some people watch NASCAR not for the drivers, not for the teams. They're fans of the broadcast personalities. That's who they're rooting for on Sunday.
Exactly what Gary Buki said. He said that's like shilling for Amazon. Like, they don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait, though. We're going to have that fall off. We had the Dale Jr. fall off. We had the Jeff Gordon fall off. A little bit of a Jimmy fall off. We're going to have a huge fall off of a fan base when Mike Joy retires.
Yeah, when Mike
NASCAR die when Mike Joy retired.
Hey, we have a most popular driver vote, and now that Dale Jr. is not eligible, who do you think would win the most popular NASCAR broadcast vote? I guess it'd be a former driver, probably Harvick.
Harvick or Mike Joy. I still think Mike Joy, I had said at a family gathering that I thought it was right after the Keyboard Warriors comment. And I said, that's kind of cringe. Like, come on, you're a legend. You shouldn't be saying that. And the pushback I got from members of my family being like, why would you say that about him? I'm like, because I expect him to be
Like,
better.
we say those people now, but if TNT and Amazon just said Alan Westbrook get in there with Dale Jr.
Yeah. But I'd say if we're talking about the ones today, I would say at the start of the year it would have been Harvick, but I think Mike Joy, because I think Mike Joy actually got better as the year went on. The booth, I think, in general got better for Fox.
I wouldn't even come close to putting Harvick in there, honestly, and I hate to say this, but those stupid pushing for words have ruined him already to me. But I don't know. It's still has more time. He needs more time in that role.
I was just surprised we didn't have a resurgence of cheater boy comments in our comments section with him in the booth this year. But that's the poll, and that's the Cup race weekend. We do have a little Xfinity to go over still, Danny. I don't know how too much we have of that.
Yeah. Me and Jarrett started our Saturday off catching some fish, and then it was time for that Xfinity Series race later on. And Sam Mayer goes out and gets the job done. Then Sheldon Creed does what he does best, and that's not win the race. This time after contact with John Hunter Nemechek. And what's our thoughts on that one, guys?
Sheldon Creed and clutching defeat from the jaws of victory. Name a better pairing.
Brutal. I mean, a lot of tire issues in this race as well, but Sam Mayer's kind of passionate comments afterwards about how he feels he should be getting more Cup Series consideration. They sparked an idea. I decided to go and look at his actual stats, and he's won since last July, I believe. So basically a full year. He and John Hunter Nemechek are tied for the most Xfinity Series wins in that span. And John Hunter's obviously in what we would think eventually will be a good Cup ride. And Sam Mayer, nobody's talking about him. All this silly season conversation. We've mentioned Cole Custer. Folks will talk about Chandler Smith sometimes. Riley Herbst is getting consideration. But why not Sam Mayer? Why not? Is he still too young? Has it been not a great enough sample size?
He still is 20.
I get that. I'm with you. I think you're right. I'm just mean, like, if he keeps at this though, at some point he is going to get people's attention. Like Carson Hocevar's in the Cup Series. He's 21, hadn't made hardly any Xfinity starts. So that's what I mean. Like, I get the frustration. He's watched Ty Gibbs and Hocevar and some of these guys, pass him up, so to speak. Corey Haim's getting more Cup Series talk these days, and he's younger. I think he's younger, maybe about the same age as Sam Mayer. So I get Sam Mayer being a little frustrated, but hey, easy way to quiet the doubters is keep winning races. And when you're 21, 22,
yes,
you'll get some consideration.
And I think that's also the question perspective wise you should put in, like, what ride do you want? Like, do you want to go into the 31 Hemrick ride? Like,
no, exactly.
Or do you want to wait and see if Hendrick moves on from Bowman? What do you want to do?
or I'd just say, like, really any ride that's more of a top tier end one. Like, I don't get why he hasn't at least gotten an offer at some point to drive, like, the Beard car at a Talladega race or something.
Sure.
Just some kind of experience. I know it's not really going to equate to anything, but just to, like, know what these cars feel like, to get used to the different kind of shifting and the little things like that.
Get some of those butterflies out of his stomach, when it doesn't really matter yet, Yeah, I agree. I just wonder if, maybe, I don't know that he has a lot of big, like, outside sponsorship behind him. I know he has had a lot of family funding over the years, and maybe it's just the money for him to go Cup racing isn't really there. He would need a big sponsor to sign off on him, and that just hasn't come to fruition. That's why you see Alfredo, who's got that Dude Wipes connection. That's why Austin Hill with Bennett and whatever money is there. Gregson with Bass Pro Shops. Like, that's why you've seen these other guys get, like, that Beard opportunity. I'm thinking that, like, that's the only thing I could think is maybe holding him back. And if that's true, if sponsorship for Mayer going forward is going to be a question, then he better be damn sure he keeps winning races, because that's the only way he's going to overcome the lack of sponsorship, is winning like 8 races and making the championship 4 in back-to-back season, something like that.
And I think we had the same kind of conversations, maybe not sparked by the driver, but the same kind of conversations about Noah Gragson back in 2021, kind of 2019 here or there. It's like, oh, it's got, he can win, but he's inconsistent or whatever.
Yeah, good point.
And just something clicked. And I think that might, for Sam, like, he's so young, and he has the most powerful person, I would say, in NASCAR backing him right now. You have Dale Jr. backing your career. you have the luxury of waiting for a good ride to open up, kind of like, as much as we didn't think it at the time, Josh Berry had with the 4-car this year, and Rodney Childers, and improving Stuart Haas, and it's death throws. Sorry, I had to twist the knife.
I'm also laughing at Raphael's comment in the live chat. Says Parker Retzlaff is getting a cup ride before him.
That's
like
right.
he's making a cup start. Yes, it is.
Oh yeah.
So like we say all this, it's like I get the frustration. Like Mayer's like, damn it, I've won 6 of the last 30 Xfinity races. Nobody's won more than me in that span. And all these other guys are going off and playing on Sundays. What about where's my opportunity? Like I get the frustration, but he's 20. Don't rush into a situation that's not good.
Like let's team that shows up every now and again. Let's throw some money at BJ and Live Fast, and Hendrick can prepare him a 78 car. Do something for him.
I don't know. I like Sam Mayer. He's a Wisconsin short track racer. Reminds me a lot of my boy Matt Kenseth. So I want to see Sam Mayer go far.
Oh damn! It just went away. Hold on, I gotta refresh it. So YouTube's been doing this AI thing where it'll give you a chat summary, and it's an experiment they're doing. And if you refresh tab, it says the NASCAR chat revolves around driver-related discussions and upcoming races. Notable topics include Sheldon Creed's performance, Sam Mayer's potential in the Cup Series, and various driver transfers. That's
Where are you seeing this?
Okay, so on your phone, go on your
YouTube.
phone. Yeah,
YouTube right now is analyzing what we're saying and creating a description.
Go on your phone, click on refresh or click on the stream, and then it'll open up, and literally it gives a summary of what AI has.
Hold on, I gotta watch an Expedia ad.
Well, it should have the chat for you opened up.
Oh,
I'm trying to get there.
Let me see if it does it for you. It's doing it for me.
I don't see anything. I'm looking at Alessandro's comments, Isaac the Jedi. I'm just looking at the chat.
I'll show you. So I'll have my phone up.
We are so off topic. What's going on? Hey, you're subscribed to me, Jarrett? Oh man, thanks.
It pops up.
Whoa, what is that bubble? What's that speech bubble? I don't see that.
I don't even see it on mine.
That's weird. So it's doing it with some people, not others, because it was doing it on our night last night.
Wacky. Well, okay,
it got it way wrong on there, but damn, it got us to a freaking T.
That's because we're so polished. We are very eloquent.
Let's see if we can confuse AI. So Mayonnaise won the NASCAR race, and that was the interesting thing of football games. And did you know Darth Vader is actually Anakin Skywalker?
You mean Coach Darth Vader of the New England Titans, who are 4-time.
But how could you say that about Coca-Cola? I mean, that is so disrespectful.
I can't believe Sam Mayer turned down a max contract from the Lakers. Like they need a center. Sam Mayer can be that. Did you see Tyler Reddick? That
but what if Tiger Woods wins the Daytona 500?
Hey, he was the quarterback at McDonald's, guys.
Hold on just a moment. Hold on.
We actually sound
this Chick-fil-A shake is officially the most delicious thing I've ever eaten in my life.
We sound like Chad GPT right now.
This is so good.
Real quick, back on topic. Last thing. You ever seen a tow truck tow a car that catches fire while being towed?
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
It's kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
I mean, funny. Nobody got hurt. I don't believe. I mean, it all worked out.
It's
but yeah,
funny now.
It would have been funnier. It would have been funnier if that tow truck that was towing Ross Chastain in the weirdest way possible would have done that.
That would have been. I don't know what that would have been. That would have been our AI.
Can you believe that Justin Haley is leading the popular vote for president? That's a good way to wrap up the first hour. Justin Haley, hail yes for president.
He's got my vote.
Yeah, he's leading the rent is too damn high party's vote now.
He's leading the how the heck are you always in the top 10 votes right now. With that being said, it's time for a little super chat stage break here, guys. We'll spend 3 minutes of this show going through these super chats, and whenever one of you guys wants to time me, I'm ready.
Go for it.
Bailey Reichert, appreciate you getting started with $5. Guys, did you know you can show fans and the race at the same time? It's such a wild concept. Okay, but how close are we talking? You know, I don't want to look right at a fan the whole time.
At least when NBC did it, they showed 80 fans, and it made it look like a crowded big league sporting event instead of one guy eating a hot dog the wrong way.
Kyle Davenport, appreciate a Canadian $10. Hey guys, been a lifelong fan, been watching since 1995. Bobby Labonte was my favorite driver. Then, because I thought his name was Bobby LaBobby. Going to my first race this weekend. What should I do / expect? Well, I will say this, Kyle. I went to my first race at New Hampshire last year, and I posted a blog here on my YouTube channel. So go back and watch my vlog from my experience and kind of give you an idea of how New Hampshire is. And you can maybe go check out some of the things that I saw there last year. Of course, I saw it on a rain delayed Monday. Fair chance it may be that again. But if you are able to as well, go check out the New England Racing Museum. I also did a vlog there, and I met the world famous Dick Berggren. He was there at the museum, and he'll talk to anyone and have a good time with you. So if you're in the area and if there's rain, do what I did on that Sunday and go check out that museum as well. So that's what I'd recommend.
That's good advice.
Keep reading, and I'm going to read you the new AI prompt in a moment.
Okay. Bailey Riker, appreciate the $2. Also, Blaney saved at the pump this time. That are $5 from Bailey Riker. I hated this, but we need to talk about how Maddie D in 4 less races is already higher than Haley Deegan in points. I had hopes it'd be different. That is crazy.
Yeah,
but you're right.
Deegan has not been good this year. I think we can just leave it at that.
Year?
I don't know. I don't somehow yeah, I mean, she's not been good really at all, but she's been especially bad this year. I thought she would be better this year than some of her previous truck seasons.
Not to disrupt my lightning round, but I'm going to ask a poll question real quick for you guys to have fun with this one. And it's certainly a debate right now.
Time is ticking, Danny.
All right.
Counting
David
down.
Bell, welcome back to Danny B Superfans. Good to have you back in, sir. Dominion 42, appreciate the $10. Very happy with how Iowa turned out. There were a lot of concerns going in, but most got addressed. Tire degradation was essentially perfect, in my opinion, enough to be a factor, but not enough for a wreck fest. Isaac the Jedi, appreciate the $4.99. This will be the last one. I swear, ever since KFB said I suck just as bad as you, my mind keeps going to KFB is now Lightning McQueen from Cars 3, the same way Jimmy was in 2018 to 2020. And you're not entirely wrong, because I can definitely understand where you're coming from on that.
All right, real quick before we jump into the next segment. Chat summary after we decided to go all crazy from the AI is this live chat involves a mix of NASCAR and Pittsburgh Penguins discussions. Some chatters express excitement about Ryan Sieg leading in the Utah race and speculate on drivers' potential for future success. Others engage in Penguins-related chatter, such as favorite players and team support.
Pittsburgh Penguins. How about that?
Good job, chat.
I love that. Good job, AI. Maybe we are all. Maybe our society isn't doomed. At least not
AI.
yet.
We would like to discuss chicken. AI. This is the Chicken Weekly podcast.
Yeah,
we're here to discuss our favorite grilled and fried chicken.
Spam the word chicken in the chat to confuse them, because if we spam emojis, it's not going to be as good. Just spam the word chicken.
Spam chicken, and then to confuse it even more, since it wants to talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins, spam the Nashville Predators. Let's throw it off and make this a huge hockey debate all of a sudden.
We can also turn this into a weather show thanks to our next segment.
Oh, yeah.
We can, because my phone is acting up. It's buzzing. There's red lights flashing on it. It says something about a big lightning round this weekend.
As Danny gets struck by lightning. Do your best struck by lightning pose, Danny.
Whoa.
All right. Well, first off, shout out to the Spotify crowd. We poll you all every week. And we did the poll question. Again, we're always a week behind with these polls. I need to think ahead on these. But do you think SVG should go to Cup? 32% of them say no to 68% saying yes. So there's that. Fox will still produce and create their radioactive segment on NASCAR's YouTube channel, despite Race Hub being pulled from the airwaves, according to Adam Stern.
Good. That was probably the best thing they had going for them.
The bare minimum. Well done.
Dale Jr. also said in his podcast this past week, more than likely this year's Bristol Xfinity race will be his last Xfinity race. So,
whoa.
Yeah, well, he said he's going to turn 50 this year, and he's just sort of, it's too much work for one race.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be weird about this, but that was the age his dad was, and maybe there's something to that.
Maybe.
I know, like to it being a lot of difficult. I think it was Harvick was talking about all the things Boyer has to do just to do one truck race, between drug tests and like mandatory meetings and things. Like just to do one race, it is a lot more work than you would expect. Like at that point, run half the schedule.
Holy crap! They called us on it.
What? Who?
What?
The chat summary says people are joking and trying to get the AI to say chicken on a NASCAR related podcast.
Whoa! What? No, the AI did not say that.
It went away now. It's got to be somebody writing this.
AI, you are too smart.
How the fuck
Now
did they know that?
Well, I'm going to keep refreshing. Let's see what this one says, because it keeps going away before I can read it all.
The chat's like, what? Everyone's freaking out. How did they catch us?
The people.
It's going to say in a minute. It's going to say in a minute that the chat has figured me out.
I'm gonna send it to you guys because I have to keep taking a screenshot because it keeps going away. See, now it's just spam stuff to see like how passive aggressive the AI will get.
Spam. Like you're talking about the food spam. Talk about your favorite ways to make spam.
Or do you speak Spanish?
I'm a little freaked out. There's a lot of AI out there that's doing some crazy stuff, genuine reasons to be freaked out by AI. But this might be the freakiest thing.
Have you guys been seeing the videos created of Luma AI? I actually played around that the other day. It was so creepy.
I don't know what that one is, but I'm just scared that the AI became self-aware enough that it knew we were trying to trick it. That's scary.
We're just going to start. Hey, guys, you've been watching AI this whole time. No, we're not even real.
We're getting tagged, by the way, with screenshots on Twitter of it. Oh my God, this is awesome. Anyway, let's go back to lightning round. There's gonna be people listening being like, get to the freaking program.
Really sorry to our Spotify
sorry to our listeners, but AI can be hilarious.
AJ Allmendinger will be racing in a third colleague cup car, the number 13 at the Glen, seeing how SVG is in the 16. So
stacked.
Congratulations to Daniel Suarez for becoming a dual citizen and now a citizen of the United States.
Let there be chicken. My Statue of Liberty shirt.
Really quick, I want to remind everybody, next week we will be on my channel, June 26th, leading into Nashville, so that should be a lot of fun. And speaking of Nashville, we, all three of us, will be at the Battle at Broadway at the Nashville Fairgrounds. So come see us. If you want to come on out, we'll probably be out in the fan zone at different points.
I'll be hanging out. I'm excited to be back there. It's going to be a good race. Late models, I know there's some NASCAR guys, right? Chastain is in the field. Yep. Josh Berry going to be in the field.
Josh Berry's actually testing at the fairgrounds tomorrow. And then our buddy John Ramos will be up in the booth, and I know he's actually been a pretty popular guest that we've had on in recent weeks. So come out to maybe see him if there's any downtime on his end of it. But I can't wait. I love going to the fairgrounds when I can.
That's gonna be a good time. It's been a couple years for me. I'm excited to be back.
But that's the lightning round. That's the lightning round, or the AI round, I guess, as we could call it too.
Yeah.
And that was the AI has a thunderstorm round. Yes, indeed, here on the Chicken Weekly podcast, just trying to confuse the AI even more.
What else do we got? We got a couple headlines this week, don't we, Danny?
We do have some big headlines. And unfortunately, Martin Truex Jr. didn't let us wait until Nashville Super Speedway to ask him. He has confirmed he's buying a fishing boat and retiring.
Is he finally going to buy that one boat he was talking about last year?
Yep.
He's gonna say here, maybe not sail, but go and find a fishing spot way off into the sunset.
If he needs to know where white bass are, me and Jarrett can help him with that here in Nashville.
Yeah, we were on fire Saturday morning. I have like 12 fillets sitting in my fridge right now. But when it comes to Truex, I think the interesting part is that Denny Hamlin basically offered him a Daytona 500 ride like the day of, and Gibbs and him alluded to the fact that he's probably going to do a few Xfinity races. Martin Truex Jr. is the last driver I would have guessed of the old crop that would stick around for a bit.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like I would have thought that Truex would eventually just sort of disappear in many ways. But no, he sounds like it's just the schedule. The schedule is grueling. And when you're not winning regularly every single week, I'm sure it just gets harder and harder to, especially when you've accomplished as much as he has. He's already won a championship. Yeah, you want to get back there, but once you've won a title, it's like you've checked that box. So I am surprised that it sounds like he's going to come back and still race some, but I'm excited. I think that's good. He's going to hopefully pick and choose Xfinity races he can win, Cup races that he hasn't won yet. That would be a huge deal, and that's going to give his fans something to still hold on to.
Surely wants to win a Daytona 500. At this point, it's starting to become like Tony Stewart. He won 3 championships, but never won the night race at Daytona so many times, but never won at Daytona 500. And Truex is one. He's finished about as close as he possibly can to not get it, and I'm sure he wants one of those one day.
Truex and Stewart enter the Daytona 500 one year in dueling Bass Pro sponsored cars to try and check the crown jewel off their list. That would be epic.
Even though Tony did some test laps in the next gen car, I feel like that was also a way that NASCAR was trying to regain his interest in the sports direction. I would never see Tony coming back to do that again.
Absolutely not.
NASCAR that always managed to tick him off a little bit, or his wife. I don't know which one he's going to pick here. But for Truex, I mean, what more other than last week could be said about his career?
He'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
He should. Easily.
Oh yeah. I mean, who else is going to be on the ballot his year? Nobody else. I mean, Almirola maybe, but he's going to beat that. Like, no, who else? Unless Kyle Busch retires at the end of this year, like that's the only way I could see there being any issue. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but no, Truex, we touched on it last week. 34 wins, champion, Xfinity champion, 5 straight championship four, not 5 straight. Maybe it was 5 straight. He went to 5 championship fours, Furniture Row, JGR, different teams. The dude's great. Dude's incredible. It just makes you wonder if he'd been in the perfect situation earlier in his career, could we be talking about him as a 50-time winner? I'm
going to give a hot take here. Martin Truex Jr. should definitely be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but NASCAR should work it out that when Truex goes onto that board, Barney Visser, the owner of Furniture Row, should also go onto the ballot. Because that would be really cool to see them go in at the same time.
It's an interesting conversation about, like, what as a car owner do you have to do to be a Hall of Famer?
Because I think
who's in?
Honestly, the moves that Barney had to make to get that team to go from being at one time starting park team to being a championship winning team, a lot of sacrifices had to be made that ultimately, came to the decision that, hey, we've done it all. We can't proceed from this point. I think that's, as short as his time was in the sport, it's Hall of Fame worthy to me.
I don't think I'd go that far, because how long was Furniture Row in business? From like 2005 to 2019, 2018? So like 14 years, and they were really only great for like 4 of those years.
They won a championship, though, if we want to value that.
Yeah, but there's a lot of I don't know. What car owners are in the Hall of Fame? Hendrick is, Gibbs is, Roush is, Penske is, I imagine.
Like the greats are.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is I'm like,
okay, would you put Tony Stewart in as a car owner? 2 championships.
No. Well, he's already in as a driver.
I know, but let's just
say he never drove a race car.
Gene Haas, 2 championships, 68 or 69, somewhere in there, almost 70 wins as a car owner.
Man,
I mean, it's a real conversation. Like, and what about these teams like JTG that have like 3, 4, 5 different owners? Like, I think it's a real conversation.
I have to look at who's in again. Like Junior Johnson's in, and he owned a team, but he also was a driver, and he was instrumental outside of team ownership to the foundation of the sport. Like, Gene Haas has done nothing for the sport besides own a team that was trash for a while. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's a tough call. But I think Barney Visser, I'd love to see him there for Truex's induction 3-4 years from now, whenever that is. I think that would be awesome if there was a way to sort of tie him into the whole ceremony. But I don't know that he's a Hall of Famer. I don't know if I go that.
Well, another thing to consider is that he was doing all this far away from Charlotte, North Carolina, and Denver. So that's another aspect of this whole.
It's impressive. I'm just not sure that it's Hall of Fame worthy. I mean, I'd have to look at what other team owners have or haven't done to either get or not get into the Hall of Fame before I could give an accurate response.
I mean, we can.
Well, I fought so hard for Ricky Rudd. Now I'll fight again for Barney Visser.
Might be fighting a little longer.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet he never gets on the ballot. I don't know why. I feel like I don't know. I'd have to look at the criteria.
Okay, what about Cole Pearn? I mean, what he did with Martin Truex Jr. I mean, Cole Pearn and Martin Truex Jr. were the best driver crew chief combo, I would say, from
for 3 years.
2016 on until
4 years maybe.
And at least Cole Pearn did go over to JGR for a little bit, so they proved they could keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, he won that title, and didn't he finish second in points? Two of his 3 second place finishes.
He finished second the year after he won the championship.
Yeah. He had 1 second.
He was also in the championship for.
Yeah, he had a second with James Small in 21, but I think Cole Pearn was there for 2 seconds and a first. So that's, I think we've established to be a crew chief. Harry Hyde's not even in the Hall of Fame. Like, some of these great crew chiefs aren't in the Hall of Fame yet. So no, I won championship, and I mean, Pearn was a crew chief for what, like 6 years? Yeah, I don't think
recency bias though too.
He's not a Hall of Famer. No chance.
I mean, eventually we're gonna have all kinds of room to debate who should be in, who shouldn't be. So you never know.
We can move on.
Well,
I guess
we could debate on whether or not. I guess not really debate, but kind of go over Chase Briscoe right now is the favorite for the 19.
Yeah, I like this pick because I feel
it seems random to me, but.
Well, I look at who's available. The best free agent available, you could argue, is Chase Briscoe. You know, he's won a race. He's made a deep playoff run. My point about Briscoe is the last time we saw him in a truly championship contending car, it was 2020 Xfinity Series. He won 9 races that year. The first year he got to Stewart-Haas Cup was the same year Harvick went winless. So he's not been in elite Cup Series equipment yet, but he's got a lot of experience and laps under his belt. I would love to see Chase Briscoe in a Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. I feel that's a combination that could hit the ground running and contend for wins right out the gate. There's other drivers that could as well. If they put Gregson in that car, sure, he'd be a contender to win. He'd run at least as well as Ty Gibbs is probably running. I think Josh Berry, especially if they also brought Rodney Childers in, I think he could be good. But Chase Briscoe, I'd argue, is the best free agent that we know of that's currently available. I'm not counting like Kyle Busch because we don't know that he's available or anything like that. I'm just like, I think Briscoe is the best.
Well, I also don't see as what in the world's the point of their Xfinity program to develop talent? They're not going to promote any of them. Like, I don't get it.
Well, they promoted John Hunter last year. I just think, like, I'm a little surprised Chandler Smith isn't getting more focus, but you also have to remember Hamlin's going to retire in probably 2 to 3 years. So, like, maybe that'll be when Chandler's ready.
I have an idea. Promote Martin's brother, Ryan. We get another Truex in there.
Where's the money? Show me the money.
Convince all of Martin's sponsors. See, it's Martin. Tell me, Martin.
I'd be curious. I'd be very curious about both Briscoe, but I'd be really curious about a Rodney Childers led JGR team.
No, that's fair. I'm with you.
That if the sponsorship was there, that for me would be like, damn, I don't care who the driver is. Like, you know, you can get Joe Schmo to step in and they'll probably win a race. It'd be like that one, I think it was a Boyer comment back in the day about that old 18 then Nationwide Series car that you could have a monkey jump in that car and it'd win a race. But I'm really interested to see how Briscoe would do, because I think that 19 team is not, I don't think is at the full strength it could be right now. I think it's more a crew chief issue than anything. You know, Truex this year, you know, we're talking about where people are running, finishing, and all that. 7 top 10s and 17 starts this year, and only 4 top 5s. So I'm not terrible by any means, but
he's top 5 in points. But you're right, he's not looking great.
Not setting the world on fire. So it could be age, it could be the crew chief. Either way, I'm intrigued. You've caught my attention. Real quick before we go to anything else, we are
less than 100 likes away from our like goal.
We currently have 477 people watching. 310 people have liked this. And in case you guys have not noticed, our like goal is usually 400. Because this weekend's race goes 1 mile over, we're also going 1 like over. We need you to find one more person. Actually, we need to find you a lot more people. We need to get to 401 likes. So there's 487 of you watching. What are you doing? It's very easy. Click that button. click it, or else I'm coming for this camera right now. I'm gonna come get you and make you like this, okay?
Oh man, you've asked for the wrath of Danny. Well, what's the next headline we got?
Yeah, Danny.
The next
Come through the
next
camera
one
at
we-
us with it.
The next one we have is I want out of this camera. I want to come into your home and make you like it. But someone else who wants out is Kyle Busch. He wants out of RCR. What is this about?
He lasted all of 18 months in that car, and he's already whining to the media.
So there was some people who asked him over the weekend and even got some quotes from him, said that, if a contract was on the table, he'd consider going to Hendrick or Gibbs. But it sounds like he knows RCR isn't working out the way he hoped it would be, but he also wouldn't get out of RCR just to take a worse deal. He would only leave if he was given a better deal with a Hendrick or a Gibbs, it sounds like.
Well, the bigger thing is he can't leave. Like, he is under contract with RCR through the end of next year unless they choose to let him go, or another team comes in and says, hey, RCR, we'll pay you whatever millions of dollars it costs to buy him out.
But
Kyle doesn't even know how to talk about it.
they proved that RCR can lose that war with Tyler Reddick. So
yeah, well, I think I've heard rumblings that they added a no talking to other teams clause to Busch's contract in the wake of Reddick's deal. I don't know if that's true, but that's what people have rumbled about. So the point of these comments, I don't know what the point was. Was it just to vent a little bit about how he's been struggling at RCR? That would be a very Kyle Busch thing to do.
Like Kyle Busch.
Adversity comes up, he doesn't know how to handle it. Kind of a little immature. Throws his team under the bus.
if you need to vent someone, vent to your wife.
Exactly. This isn't what a leader should be doing. Is openly acknowledging he'd rather drive for a different team. Like, that's not what you should be doing.
Or call your best friend Ricky Stenhouse and ask him to go do one of those friendly fights like Rocky Balboa and Creed at the end, and they'll fight off camera and then they can vent to each other.
I just, the only other reason he would say this is if it's to sort of let the industry know that, hey, I am unhappy here. Go talk to Richard Childress. Hey, if you're a Joe Gibbs and you have the 19 open, go talk to RC. See how much it would cost to get me out of here. If you're 2311 and you're buying a third chart, go talk to Gibbs or go talk to RC and see if there's a way out of here. Like, I think that maybe is what he was doing. If he's really trying to big brain it, maybe I'm giving him too much credit. But at the end of the day, who wants Kyle Busch right now? He doesn't have any sponsorship attached to him. You'd have to go out and get sponsorship, but you could absolutely sell some. He is Kyle Busch. He's got a big fan base, a big name, but he doesn't look like a championship contender in 5 years. We've already talked about that. He's shown that he's still a little immature and is willing to whine to the media or make maybe not the best of comments to the media when things go bad. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't want Kyle Busch. If I'm Gibbs, I'd go with Chase Briscoe. Longer runway, can start to establish something long-term. I'll be honest. I don't see a team out there that honestly wants Kyle Busch where he would fit in at this point in his career.
Yeah, it would be a little harder at this point.
But
I'm seriously like let's say okay, he's going to finish this year out obviously, and he'll run next year in the 8, but then he's free agent again at the end of 25. I mean, now we're looking a year and a half into the future, but even then, who's going to want him? Is he going to replace Denny Hamlin? No, he's not replacing Denny Hamlin.
Top teams, no one will want him. Or maybe, well, it depends on. I think it depends on sponsorship and how it ends out. If it's like how it is now, no top team, I think, will be. Yeah, I just have him as the number one option.
It's just a random question. Is people saying, is the AI really saying I'm being aggressive to the chat all of a sudden? I don't think it's people saying that.
It'd be accurate. I mean,
no, they're just trying to trick it.
Okay.
But there's always going to be as long as he's able to wheel a car really well. I think there's always going to be some teams that want to have a Kyle Busch. Like,
but the price is right.
It's not going to be a top level team. Like,
that's the thing. Yeah.
I mean, think of it like basketball. Even towards the end of his time, someone wanted Michael Jordan. Someone's going to want LeBron James right now.
Yeah. Kyle Busch doesn't have any notable sponsorship attached. He's also going to be way more expensive to sign outright than a Chase Briscoe or a Josh Berry or a Justin Haley. And he hasn't looked like a championship contender in 5 years. I just can't imagine. Penske's not going to want him. Imagine Busch and Logano being teammates. RFK, I don't see that. RCR is already that currently. Trackhouse has too many drivers already. Gibbs, I think, is out of the running. I feel like it has to be 2311. That's where his brother is, but even they sound like whatever driver they signed for their third seat might come with a lot of money. That's not Kyle Busch. So it's just a bad combo. He's like an aging superstar who still wants a max contract, but everyone knows he's probably not worth a max contract anymore. He's good, but are you going to give, are you going to give LeBron James right now a 5-year max contract? No, you're not. He's still good, but you're not going to give LeBron a 5-year max contract. Yeah, that'd be ridiculous. That's where Kyle Busch is kind of at.
But with that one, I guess we can move on from the Kyle Busch conversation. We don't know what he's going to do. All we can do is recklessly speculate about that for the time being. But what we can speculate on some more is the schedule, because we fought for a little while. It seemed like it was about to be imminently coming out. And now we just keep getting, I'm not sure if it's clickbait from Door Bumper Clear people at this point or what, but they keep saying, oh, we've seen if these schedule rumors are true, oh boy, it's like, okay, are you playing it up? Are you just trying to mess with people? Where is this actually about to come out?
Well, I mean, one of the parts of it was already confirmed. Atlanta will be back out. They'll be in the last weekend of June. Darlington, Southern 500 back in as the schedule kind of goes back to normal. So like in that part, I don't think, they said 3 races would be swapped out or in, depending on which way you look at it, or the playoffs. That's one right there. Leaves 2 others up for debate. They had said that it'd be a shocking change. I'm kind of interested what 2 tracks would lead your guys' lists, because there's been a lot of talk about Pocono and Nashville as 2 of them, as well as a little talk about like Gateway or maybe one of the Northeastern races.
Like Pocono becoming a playoff race? Oh.
I
don't know
heard a
about
rumor about that before, and it's sort of went away and now is popping back up. And it wouldn't necessarily surprise me.
Nashville makes me interesting because especially if they keep doing the award ceremonies in Nashville, it seems weird to not have Nashville be a playoff market.
I could see the Roval going back to the Oval. Does that count as a change?
No, it'd be the same track. It's tracks losing or getting dates.
It's a different track. I mean,
you know what I mean. Facilities.
But do we know what Door Bumper Clear means? Does anyone truly know what they mean?
As well as we talked about this weekend, as well as we talked about this weekend's race, was there ever any confirmation that Iowa was going to get more than just this year?
They left it kind of open-ended. I know they sent renewals out yesterday.
Because I felt like the way everything was worded, I was like, I'm really scared this is going to be like a Road America where you see it for a minute and it's gone.
So
it's possible.
I'll give an option for a race that could be taken out. I think the number one, I think there's 2 actually that are really, really high-end possibility that they could be taken out. So actually, I'll give both of them here. The lower of the 2, I'm going to say, is the Bristol Night Race. It's the least watched race of the year. It's, yes, still relatively well attended, but at the same time, you're probably going to need more of that attendance money with the new deal because teams are going to cut into the track revenue. But I mean, I'll pull out my handy dandy packet of ratings numbers to back up my point here. Last year's Bristol Night Race, yes, it had a delay, had 1.5 million viewers. The year before, 1.7. The year before that, 2.1.
Just move it to Sunday night like you did Iowa and set ratings records.
Well, Sunday night football.
Saturday night's college football. Tennessee to College Town.
I know. I'm just doing. You're looking at the NBC broadcast.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That's you're right. Okay, you're right. It is NBC's part of the schedule. That's a good point.
And I'd say that I think actually moving it back to the week before Daytona, the week it would, around the week it normally would be. I think it would probably be able to help at least the attendance numbers, camping numbers, stuff like that, because you're not going to be going against the Tennessee football side of things. You're not going to be possibly going against the NFL side of things. The one that I think is a guarantee almost to be taken out for long-term reasons is Homestead. I think Homestead could get moved back into the Fox or Prime portion of the year.
Oh, no, that would kill that race.
No, but listen, hear me out. They are all in on 2026. They want the finale back.
Yes.
Everyone knows that no one cares about Homestead other than the finale. Nobody goes to that race. It's a generic TV watch. It's fun for us diehards, but okay,
sure. You're right.
People hear Daytona, Bristol, maybe not Bristol anymore, but Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta, whatever, super speedways or a couple others, and they're drawn to it. Nashville is one they're drawn to. I think it gives them more time to renovate the entire facility so that in 2026 they are ready to go. Short-term loss, long-term gain. It's an ISC track. They have put their money where their mouth is with Daytona, with Chicago, with Phoenix. Why not do it with Homestead? That way you have the great facility that everyone raves about with Phoenix. You have the great facility that everyone raves about with Daytona, but you have the great, and I would say non-super speedway, valid, great racing that Homestead gives you, and you can have it for your finale again, first week in November 2026. My birthday, November 1st, I believe, is that Sunday that year. Like, I am all in. Birthday party at Homestead, baby.
I love that idea. I just feel the odds of it happening are slim because the only people who seem to really value Homestead Miami these days is the city of Homestead, Florida. And I don't know how much pull they truly have, but NASCAR could have renovated the facility a long time ago. They chose Phoenix. Mm-hmm. And the track, the last couple times I've been, they just keep tearing down more grandstands. And I don't know, like, yeah, it would require a full 180 from them to say, you know what, this track we kind of abandoned as the finale. Let's go all in. I just don't know that they will. I'd be surprised if they do. I think it could still get the finale, but are they going to take a year off or schedule it so that they have all this time to make renovations? If they go back for the finale, it'll be with minimal renovations. Is what I believe. I
have heard rumors about them doing renovations. I've heard in general ISC more than SMI is going all in on that. But I'll push back on the attendance, whatever with it. I mean, back when it was ISM, the cursed years of Phoenix, they weren't selling out the spring race like they are now. Like it was a generally good crowd for what they had, but they had to remove a bunch of seats. They at that time I think had around, in the late 2010s had around 70 or so thousand seats that have been taken down to 42,000. And Homestead didn't have that issue. And yeah, I guess we all knew, I think, that it was finale, but I think business-wise, you could also think like, man, it is a good track. It's a good draw. We could probably get a good draw anywhere else on the schedule. I think they moved it to around the time of the year, a little after Daytona. I think that the Phoenix crowd is embedded. They're going to go to the race no matter what. The spring race selling out every year, I think, proves that. Like, they're going to go to that race, whereas Homestead, like, why not max out on something when you know that other crowd is going to be there when you get back if the Homestead experiment doesn't work? So
I think Homestead will eventually get the finale back. I'm just not sure they're going to pour $60 million into renovations. That would surprise me a little bit. So we'll see where it ends up on the schedule next year. I mean, it's kind of. It's 40 minutes away from a big market. I don't,
But you still have that reach, though.
Yeah, you do. I mean, Formula E is heading there for something, I guess, next year, right? So maybe
it's that weekend.
You know what? Formula E coming in, maybe that's a little added, and there might be some incentive there to invest in the facility beyond just NASCAR. Because I think if we're just talking about the NASCAR race, I don't know that NASCAR is that big of a believer in Homestead, to be honest, but maybe they are, especially if Formula E is getting involved. I think Watkins Glen for sure has to be out of the playoffs for next year. I hope it is. I think only one road course and one super speedway in the playoffs would be perfect.
The Roval's gone though. It's the oval.
I guess my theory was, I guess you're right. The Roval is gone. Then I guess you maybe would want to keep Watkins Glen. That's fine. I want to see how it does this year in the playoffs because that's been such a great venue, great race every year. I'd hate to see him tweak it and ruin that momentum.
I know what I want to swap Watkins Glen with. A race that would be great for the playoffs. Swap Watkins Glen with Michigan.
I mean, it would definitely be big for the manufacturers. Because those manufacturers, that's a huge deal.
And Michigan seems like it could put on a great playoff race.
I think with that too is the only, I think the issue. I don't even think the weather would be too much of an issue if it's the first week or two of September. Because living in the Midwest
this year, that would be hot. September 15th. That would be still hot, and
that'd be fine.
First round would be just fine for Michigan.
Because Chicagoland had around, granted, about 2-3 hour drive southwards geography wise, but Like Chicago had that weekend back in the day because that's when the chase used to start back then. And usually it was the weekend. It's either going to turn cold or it's going to be really hot. Like there was no in between. I remember the first year I went in 2011, it was like in the 50s and raining the whole weekend, and it sucked. It was awful. The next year we show up, it's in the mid 80s the whole weekend. It's a beautiful, great race, all that. And so you're going to have that back and forth, but the Michigan crowd's been showing up. People watch it on TV too. And that's the same thing with Pocono. Pocono and Michigan are like the two big USA juggernauts that they're going to show up and watch on TV. And I think that might be what NASCAR is looking at. You want more people, more cable races. So you want to try to max out how many people watch the playoffs. You got to have tracks that'll watch like a Michigan or a Pocono, or I know people don't want to hear this, but maybe a Texas.
I was going to say Texas. I would welcome a Texas playoff date again, give that race a little more significance now that it's actually putting on a decent show, but it would probably have to replace a 1.5 miles. And if we add the Charlotte Oval back in, I'm worried there's too many 1.5 miles in the playoffs at that point.
I'm going to do some extreme moving around here, but this also, what I'm about to do would get something out of the playoffs that people have debated on for a while. Swap Talladega Super Speedway and Daytona's August race around with Nashville Super Speedway, where we do Daytona the end of June at night, do Talladega in August. That could be hot. It could be really hot.
They used to race in August back in the day, though.
But then do Nashville Super Speedway in October in the playoffs.
You know, they could just really easily, if they do want to swap out Tennessee races, just do that. Have like, especially if Chicago ends up bailing on their deal like they could, based on how the mayor's been acting, and put the Bristol night race on July 4th weekend.
That'd be fun.
It'd be interesting how you balance it with the spring race, but I do feel like you're gonna have those kind of wild changes because of a new TV deal. I know a lot of people, like I brought up Texas, and they're like, God no. I'm like, but the big part with this is you have to think as a race fan, but you have to think like a TV exec right now. And how are you going to maximize the TV numbers with these races that people watch? I mean, hate on Texas all you want. Y'all watch it, and a lot of people watch it, and a lot of people show up.
Hate watching is valuable.
There's 80,000 hate watchers in person too this past year. But that's, you know, we can hate it all. I don't want Texas in the playoffs. I think it's good where it's at. I think that spring race date is really good for it. But it makes sense if you think of the attendance side of it, the TV side of it. You're also maybe around the time of year it'd be trying to bite back into that market share that Formula One has with the COTA race. And you're also probably thinking chaos-wise, because Texas is a chaos track now. Like every race at Texas, you might not like the racing, but you're lying to me if you said you haven't been entertained, even if it's a pissed off entertained in some way where you're like, I can't stand you. You will talk about Texas. Yeah. Whether you love it or hate it, you're going to talk about Texas afterwards. And that's something that is TV gold.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully the schedule comes out this month or next. Keeps like last year. It's just going to keep getting pushed.
Wasn't it John, when he came on, didn't he say something about, you know, in the next couple of years, you know, like Danny was talking about moving Talladega around, that Talladega wouldn't have that playoff date in the future? It's like,
I think there shouldn't be a super speedway in the playoffs. Well, we can have one. Let it be Nashville Super Speedway.
I'm okay with one, but I don't know. At Talladega's attendance is going to be a real concern one of these years. At some point, it's going to need to be talked about, and that's going to be a really hard conversation for a lot of fans to have.
I think it also that's a conversation to have one day.
Maybe not. And maybe it'll turn around.
The thing is, we all know how special of an animal that Talladega infield is. Like, that could be a once of a year party kind of atmosphere. Either way, even if they ever went down to one race at Talladega, it could still suffice as a once a year.
Before anyone goes off the deep end in the chat, I want to keep 2 Talladega races, but I mean, last year at 2, if we're going to look again, got to look at the numbers. 2.5 million viewers last year. Year before that, 2.8. Year before that was rain out. So you got to go back to 2020, 3.1. Man, there was a lot of rainouts. 2018, 3.5. Year before that, Dale Jr.'s last rate, 4.7. I mean, just go back 8, let's say, well, just go back to the start of the contract, I guess. On NBC Sports Network, it had 4 million viewers. And now on a similar size network, it's decreased 300,000 viewers every year. It's another race, if you look at it in that regard. I still think at the time now you need to have it that way, but it's just that first date is far and away more valued by NASCAR fans than the second date. I mean, double the people watch the first race. And I think double the people attend the first race too. There's going to be some crazy, crazy ass changes these next 7 years, and I don't think fans are ready for it. I really don't.
No, the Talladega topic is going to be a hard one to stomach if the trends continue, because it will go down to one date eventually.
I'll be very curious. You know, we talked about some of these tracks, and Nashville Super Speedway could be one that surprises us and gets into playoffs. If that race is coming up soon, we could see something. We've seen them before in the middle of a Nashville race say like, here's our date for next year, or buy your tickets now. You know, we could see some, they could end up, leaking a little bit of where their schedule lies next year.
I just wish they do what some other series do. Like I think MotoGP has done this before, or motocross, I should say, or whatever, where they'll have like 95% of the schedule ready, and then there's just like 2 TBD dates. I wish NASCAR could do that, because like a majority of these dates, I have a feeling have been like inked in since March and are ready to go, and we're just waiting on like 4 or 5 dates every single year.
By the way, y'all only need 8 likes. Just log into your burners already and get it done.
We could do one more segment before we get to the random driver.
Yeah. Why don't we?
We can do the prediction segment. So, Jarrett, why don't you tell us how accountable we are, or for my case, I am not.
So real quick with the prediction segment, I'm gonna move this out of the way. Each host makes up to 3 NASCAR Motorsports or show related predictions. We keep track of them, unfortunately for our sakes, every week. For the right and wrong predictions, and for us predictors, we keep it concise within 2
Pretty good. I got it.
Awesome. Accountability here on my end, hit or miss weekend. On the right side, I said Fox would acquire the 2025 IndyCar rights. They did. I said Alex Bowman would have double-digit top 10s by the Chicago Street Race, and he will. And I'll say this. I think I cut it a little close to the wire, because Nashville's been a struggle for him, and New Hampshire's been a struggle. So this week was probably the best chance to make sure it got to 10.
That's big. Good job.
I also said Martin Truex Jr. would retire after the 2025 season. I'm not going to fight this and say he's part-time and whatever, because then we could do that with a whole lot of other drivers, and that's just a headache long-term. So I'll take the dive on that one. And
that's very big of you.
Yeah, so I'm big man to fill these shoes. No, I'm kidding. I said also Caitlin Clark would be one of the special guests at Iowa for the NASCAR weekend.
I couldn't remember your wording on that. I thought you said something about she would have something to do, because technically she did with Corey LaJoy.
But I'm gonna say I was wrong on that one. Eric had a really good week. He had the best week of all of us.
When don't I?
I can go back to a few different prediction segments.
No, I'm doing pretty good.
Well, anyway, you said 2024 would be Truex's final season. I put finale season, so it's the same damn thing.
Very fancy.
You also said the Xfinity Iowa race would have 8 or more cautions. I believe they had 9.
Yep.
And you said one driver would lead at least half of the Iowa Cup race. Ryan Blaney, I think, had 201 laps led, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
You also said NASCAR's new charter deal would be signed by the Iowa weekend.
I really thought they were getting close, and then they apparently submitted their worst proposal yet. How could I have predicted this? I guess I should have, but did not.
And then that leaves Danny, not the best for last on this week. You said weather would delay the 2024 Iowa Cup race. Did not. You also said the USA Network would have 3.25 million viewers for the Iowa race, and those are like Fox NBC numbers. I think we both put our eyebrows up at that one. Eric and I did when you said that.
Rightfully so. I was being
hopeful,
overconfident, and getting off of Fox for a little while.
But as for the prediction percentages, it's a tight race now. Eric and I, 37.5% for me, 37.2% for Eric. Danny, you still got a quarter right so far, 25%. But
that's not bad.
But it's a very tight race up at the top of the board.
I got a crazy bold one that I'm excited to share with y'all for this week.
Okay.
Let's save it for the end.
I'll go first on this one. I think the new charter deal will be signed by the end of the season. I don't think this goes into a next season thing. I don't think this goes into because
I guess you're right. That's not a given.
We thought it was supposed to be signed by the end of last year.
I guess that's fine. That's fine.
By the green flag at Phoenix, I think it will be for the Cup race, I should say.
Okay.
I think it will be signed by then. I think they will finally get there. I do think it's going to get uglier though before then.
Okay. Well, my first prediction, this teases one of my predictions later in the show, but I believe this weekend at New Hampshire, Christopher Bell will podium in both races, Xfinity and Cup.
All right. For my first one, I'm going to say MTJ, Martin Truex Jr. will attempt the 2025 Daytona 500 for 2311 Racing. It's only been said he might. It's not said he will. And
Very
that's
specific.
when it could pay off this year if it's announced, but I guess he's got to actually make it to next year. So that's one of those that can come onto the board next year to start us off.
You could start the year very, very good.
Strong start.
I'm going to go with this. I think the New Hampshire Cup race will have 8 or fewer cautions. We've had, I believe, 8 and 9 the first 2 next gen races. I think it's going to be a little more calm, especially if it does end up being a rain delayed race. I think 8 or fewer cautions for the New Hampshire Cup race. That does include stage cautions. Some people were questioning that the last time we've made caution related predictions. I don't know why it wouldn't count stage cautions, so I need to specify that.
My second prediction, I believe Chase Elliott has finished top 20 in 17 races in a row to start the season. I think that streak will survive at least until the August Daytona race, which means I think he will open the year with at least 24 straight top 20 finishes.
For my second one, guys, I have been setting myself up to have a lot come on or off the board after Nashville Super Speedway, because here's another one. Nashville Super Speedway will finish under the lights. That means we could see some storms coming to the area, something, even though it's supposed to be a day race, this is one is finishing under the lights.
It's going to be rough for me. Eric, I need you to take your headphones off for this one. I'm going to make a prediction about you, and I don't want to poison the well. And I need Danny as my witness. Just trust me. Danny and I will wave you back.
Do I really? Okay.
Just plug your ears. Plug your ears.
What is he about to say?
All right. Plug your ears. Okay. My prediction is that Eric will cuss on this show by the end of next week's prediction segment. He's been pretty good tonight, but I think he will.
What the hell did you just say? What just happened?
Oh, then he just did it.
Oh no. We'll hold off. I want to see how far this can go.
Oh my god.
I needed to make sure I said it quietly so he didn't hear me over his headphones.
I couldn't. I don't know what you said. I think I'm figuring out what I think I know what the prediction was. That's funny. I almost did right there when I came back in here, though. That's funny. That's a funny one. Wait, so are we on the third one now? Is this my last one?
Yeah, this is your last one.
All right, this one I'm going out on a limb. I want this one to be true because it'd just be hilarious, but this is a wild one. So the Daytona 500 this year earned, because it was delayed, all that stuff, earned 5.7 million viewers. My prediction is that the Chicago street race will be the most watched Cup race of the 2024 season. It would need to get like almost 1 million more viewers than it did last year, but that's like a 15 to 20% increase. It's been done. We've seen 15 to 20% increases in the last year or two. Possible.
You said it's going to be the number one most watched Cup race this year.
That'd be a 21% increase year over year.
Yeah.
It's going to beat the Daytona 500.
Yeah, that's my prediction. It was. Yeah, I think it can.
For NASCAR's sake, I hope it does.
There will be no weather delays. There'll be all the replays from last year. USA Network has some really good momentum from this past weekend. I'm just going out on a limb. Let's see if it happens. Both races
are on NBC this year.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Big NBC.
All right. So Eric's percentage just dropped a little bit more.
I think I should get 2 points if that one's right.
I've got one here for this season. Although his teammate has one, He has not. And I'm going to say that Ross Chastain actually goes winless this season, despite winning 2 races the last 2 years.
Dang.
Damn. I just saw the
Amelia spiked Eric's milkshake.
Yeah, that's the one I was laughing at. Well, that's the prediction segment. So we hit our like goal, right?
We did.
We did hit the like goal, which means I
Somehow,
need to say goodbye to the chat.
Bye, chat. See you after I get this answer right almost instantly.
What is our standings for this right now, Jared? Do you want to tell us that?
Yeah. Why don't I? Looking back down here, Danny is leading the standings on this with 6 correct picks. Eric has 5 now, so he's right behind, and guests have 4. I have gotten you guys on 1 so far this year. So this is our random driver of the week segment.
We need like a sound bite for this, like a drop to get us excited for this.
Who was it last week? I've already forgot.
Okay. So last week, Eric got it right. Yes, on Mike Skinner. The weeks before that, it was Danny getting it right with Bobby Gerhart, Neil Bonnet. David did get it right with Marty Robbins, and Danny got it right with Cale Gale.
I'm still mad about the Marty Robbins one. That was a sweet pull from David.
That was. I was surprised he got it on a clue of something he didn't know was actually real that had happened. So let's get on into this one. I'll give you guys a little bit of info. It has 21 clues this week.
Oh, that's less than usual. This must be
so you got
real abstract.
21. That's a hint. Trevor Bayne drove to 21.
That's a hint.
Harrison Burton. So shoot a few guesses this week. It's not like there's like 30 of them and you got time.
Okay. Woof. Pressure's on, Danny.
All right. This random driver hails from Troy, Michigan. So Michigander. This random driver was a longtime Dodge driver.
Okay.
I'm like waiting for.
Let me know when the chat gets it. I'm gonna die when they get it fast.
They're already rolling in a lot of guesses. This random driver also helped build engines for Dodge in NASCAR as well. It's very instrumental for Dodge at different times.
Okay.
In the last 5 years, this random driver has actually made multiple attempts at different land speed records and had done so multiple times beforehand.
I think I'm getting an idea, but keep going.
This random driver is a member of a racing family.
Bob Kozlowski.
Oh, that's a good guess.
You're wrong.
Wrong?
Wrong. So Danny has 1 off the board already. Good guess, but wrong.
That is.
He did do land speed records, and he did have a huge part of K Automotive and Dodge. So I thought
the Dodge connection, the Michigan connection. That's a really good pull. Damn, if it's not him.
Yeah, Bob Kozlowski, didn't he pass away recently?
He did. I believe.
Sorry, you did say recent, and that went over my head. Sorry,
but I believe that was
like
was
21.
very recent, wasn't it? Yeah, I thought it was in the last 2 years. I don't remember.
We already got a few that are rolling them in.
Yeah.
This random driver's family famously has driven numbers, which this driver has also driven at different points: 2, 6, 19, 29, 88, and 92, among multiple others.
Wait, he raced these, or who raced?
He raced some of them, but the numbers.
But you're saying
But this family has had 2, 6, 19, 29, 88, 92.
Then is it Brian Kozlowski?
Yeah, wait, is it? Yeah.
Is that your guess?
Yes, that's my guess.
You're wrong again.
What other Keselowskis are
When
there?
did Brad do with this?
Is that your guess?
Brad's from a different mission. He's from a different city. I know it's not Brad.
This random driver is a second-generation NASCAR Cup Series driver.
Screw it. I'm going all into Kozlowski family Brad. I don't know.
Danny is off the board.
All right, take it, Eric.
So, Eric.
I'm pissed. This should be a Kozlowski.
It feels Eric versus me.
Is it?
Okay, I'm going to the chat then. Jeez.
Yeah, I have no idea. If it's not a Keselowski, I'm lost.
This random driver's early career was known for multiple Daytona flips.
Okay.
Danny, have you seen the chat yet?
I'm just Googling some stuff.
Is the chat all over it? Oh, like you don't know who? Is Danny having to Google who this is? Is this someone really abstract that I'm not going to know?
Well, next clue is Austin Cindric relatively recently did run a throwback to this random driver.
Oh, has Cindric done throwbacks the last couple of years? I feel like he's usually just running a modern scheme, right? Has he done throwbacks? Who has he thrown it back to?
This random driver was the inspiration for Brad Keselowski Racing running the number 19 in trucks.
So it is. Are there any other? What other Keselowskis are there? There's Brian, Bob, Brad, Billy, Ben.
Is Billy a guess?
Bobo, Bobby.
You have 3 guesses to burn, Eric.
What are the? There is another Keselowski.
It's like the Yoda and Empire Strikes Back. No.
Maybe it's not Keselowski. Now I'm like pigeonholed, and I'm just thinking. But keep going, Jared. Keep going.
This random driver's throwback scheme was run by Austin Cindric in 2017.
Oh, this is a while ago. Okay, that makes more sense. I was gonna say he hasn't done one. I don't think he's done a throwback in a couple of years. What car? Wait, was he in the 60? What car was he in back then? Cindric in 2017, was he? Danny, help big guy out. No, you don't have to help me.
I don't know.
This random driver is also a USAC winner.
I do know.
This random driver is also a USAC winner.
Okay, that's not going to help me.
And won that USAC race at Pocono in 1974.
Oh, yeah, I was an avid USAC viewer back in the 70s. Look at me.
This random driver drove a large portion of his career in the number 88 car.
Okay.
It's Brad Keselowski. I know it.
It's not Brad. There isn't. There aren't there. What's Brad's? What doesn't he have? It's his uncle, or is it like a? It's not a grandfather. I don't know that much about the Keselowskis, man. I'm stop thinking about Keselowski.
This random driver's best Cup finish was 5th at his home track in Michigan twice.
Great, good for him.
If you just get to the end, just throw out 3 random names and hope you
At that point, that's where I'm at. I'm thinking of other B names.
This random driver was more or less a forgotten member of his prestigious racing family.
No, it is a Keselowski. Who is this? Who the fuck is it? Oh, shit.
I got it right. I got it right. I got the prediction right.
Take it. Have it. Have fun with it. I'm so mad, man.
I set that one up on a tee.
Okay.
You did really well at this one, and I'll be honest, I sadly do not know much about this member of that family.
It's a Keselowski.
It is a Keselowski.
There's an uncle. I don't know his name. Kevin Keselowski.
No, you're spot on being an uncle.
Hold on. That's the next clue, Danny.
Oh, thank you, Danny.
Wait, you said you won. You said he was out of guesses.
No. Danny.
Guesses.
I said I got the prediction right that he'd cuss.
That one. Sorry.
You didn't give it away yet. So this random driver is the brother of a former Truck Series winner. And that winner also is an ARCA champion. And this random driver has 2 nephews that have drove in the NASCAR Cup Series. I'm just like playing with my food at this point.
I just don't know his name. Oh, I feel so bad too, because I'm sure he was a true pioneer that was instrumental in the Keselowski family racing success. Like, is Danny like writing the person's name out? Is that what he was doing? I feel so bad. I'm sorry to the Brad Keselowski fans out there that I don't know his name. I knew Brian, Bob, and Brad, obviously. Are there any other clues that would give it away? Well, that would give me a chance. Like, what's his first letter of his name start with? Maybe I might know it.
I'll get there on that one. That one of this random driver's nephews is a Cup Series champion from the Chase era.
Okay, you're just
is a member of the Keselowski family.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I'll add a 20-second clue. First name starts with the letter R. You've already guessed Kevin, by the way, so you got 2 guesses here, man.
Bob, Brian, Brad, Ryan, Kind of sounds like a mix of all those names. It's a mix of Ryan, Rob, could be Rob Keselowski. That sounds right. I feel this is so embarrassing. I feel so
bad. You
bad.
got one more guess, man. God, you're so close.
Riley, Reginald,
Reginald. Is that a guess?
Don't guess that one.
Ronald McDonald Keselowski.
What is your guess?
I'm just spitballing some of our names. Rich Keselowski.
Until you say this is my guess.
Renus.
Because you were close before. I'm not.
Renus? What is that?
That's an IndyCar driver name. I don't know what country he's from. Ryan. Rick? No. Rob.
Uncle Rick.
You already guessed Rob.
Robert.
You guessed Rob.
Roberto.
Dude, if you would have said that, I would have said it was right.
I don't know.
It's not a
I actually think it might be.
You said the name so far, by the way.
Oh, really? Woo, okay.
You actually have no clue how close you were on one of those.
This is
Ron Weasley.
Ron
Weasley Keselowski. Ron Keselowski. I think it's Ron or Ronald.
Correct.
Oh my God.
When you said Ronald McDonald, I thought Jarrett was just going to give it to you.
No, I wasn't going to say anything at that point.
Oh, this is so bad. That's horrible.
I honestly, I
Ron
hadn't heard.
Keselowski.
That's
his name?
Ron Keselowski.
Ron Keselowski.
I got to Google this guy. Now I feel awful because, like I said, I'm sure he's done some big deals, some big things, very important in this family's story. But I knew Bob, I knew Brian. Those are good guesses, man. I can't believe those weren't them. Ron Keselowski.
They're all saying Eric shouldn't get the point.
I probably shouldn't. I'd take like a quarter of a point.
My initial rule that got shot down is that if you guys couldn't guess it, I was just going to start spelling out the driver's name at the end. But you guys said that would be too much of a strategy win for you guys because if you were close, you'd just wait for that clue.
I did actually legit start spelling out Ron here for a second. You would get it.
I saw him like doing like this, and I thought, is he like writing something? What is he trying to say?
I was like, this is 3 letters. Let's see if he can notice this at all.
All right. How did the chat? I need to go back. Was the chat trashing?
They had it a long time ago. They had it when I was getting out.
No, I'm good job though, Danny. We immediately locked in on it was Keselowski. Michigan
that was the
family.
point. I was just trying to toy with you guys on it. I wanted to see if you guys knew who he was.
I was like, okay, screw it. One of us has to do this.
That's a tough one.
Danny was like, Bob, Brian, Rob, Brad.
Yeah. So Ron Keselowski is Brad's uncle.
Uncle. Yes.
He was Brian's.
Bob's
brother.
Yes.
Okay.
And I believe from what I looked up, Bob and Ron's father did race in NASCAR at one point. So they were second generation racers.
Yeah, you didn't realize. I think a lot of people don't realize. Obviously, I didn't realize quite how far back the Keselowski family went in NASCAR. So that's cool. We learned something new tonight, chat. At least I did. I looked like a fool while doing it.
Seahawks 24 said Danny deserves points over Eric.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Yes, the AI is coming clutch with stupidity.
What does it say?
It says the chat is mostly about a recent Wheel of Fortune segment where contestants struggled to name a past NASCAR driver. While some think the contestant deserves points, others believe it shouldn't.
I'm okay forfeiting. I think it's this week might have been a draw, or Jarrett gets the point.
Welcome to Wheel of NWP.
I legit did not know. I felt like it had to be close to Bob or Brian, which is why I guessed Rob.
When you put Rob, I was like, oh, you were so close.
I'm just like, I was sitting there the whole time.
All right, well let's wrap this up.
Let's go to New Hampshire.
Gosh,
yes,
this was
magical.
Let's go. Let's go to New Hampshire. I was there last year. I will not be there this year, though. Some notes for this weekend. Goodyear has a new tire setup that is integrating an increased tread thickness that is designed to keep heat in the tires and promote more fall off over the long run. So this should be interesting how this goes down. The Cup Series race name has a unique one, the USA Today 301. This will be a 301 lap race to decide who gets the big lobster. The stages are broke down into 70 laps in stage 1, 115 laps in stage 2, and 116 laps in stage 3. The start time for this race is 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time with coverage on USA and the NBC Sports app. You can also catch radio coverage on the Performance Racing Network and Sirius XM. As for the weather this weekend, well, I don't know exactly when we're going to go, but Sunday has a high of 81, 62% chance of rain and thunderstorms. Monday also has a 79% chance of rain and thunderstorms. So, Tuesday racing, anyone? The defending winner of this race is Monday, Martin Truex Jr., and the Xfinity Series race name is the Sci Apps 200. It's a 200 lap race. 45 laps in stage 1, 45 laps in stage 2, 110 laps in stage 3. This one is scheduled to start at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday. TV coverage will be on USA and the NBC Sports app with radio coverage on Performance Racing Network and Sirius XM. As for the weather, 67 degrees is the high. Whoa.
Cold front's rolling through.
Cold front will be in, 61% chance of rain and showers, so who knows when that one will happen. The defending winner of this race is John Hunter Nemechek. And as for our pick points this weekend, chat, you are the leader with 277 points, with 3 Cup Series victories, 2 Xfinity Series victories, and 2 Truck Series victories, giving you 7 total wins. I have moved up to second with 2 Cup Series wins, 2 Xfinity Series wins, and 1 Truck Series win for 5 wins. I'm 20 points back. Jarrett, you are 23 points back in third. And Eric, you are fourth, 28 points back. This is the closest it's ever been from the first to the basement at this point in the year, from what I can recall.
Yeah, anything.
I feel good about my picks this week.
Anything I think under about 70 is the closest we've ever been. And I think I already know what Eric's going to do.
One of my picks is obvious. Should we just get started? Should we just start with Xfinity?
Start with Xfinity.
Let's start up with the Xfinity Series race.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's a little out of practice in this car, but Christopher Bell has 3 starts in an Xfinity car at New Hampshire. His average finish is 1.0. So Christopher Bell is going to win on Saturday.
Well, I'm going to go with Chandler Smith on this one. I think JGR, no matter what car you pick, I think they're going to be really, really strong.
Look, I rarely get to say these words for the Xfinity Series race, and I rarely get to pick this guy as it is anymore. But I got to do it in a one-off race in a good car. Give me Alex Bowman in 17.
I just want people to go back and find the clip of Danny when the Hendrick schedule was announced and him going, "This is his worst track. Don't pick him. He's going to be awful."
I mean, that's true.
You said that. You said it.
Good practice.
This is not his best track, but dang it, that car usually is good when they put someone in there. So,
and at the moment, the chat's going Allgaier. I saw a few Carson Quapples, but
yeah,
Carson was my number 3 pick, though. To be fair, if one of you guys had took Alex, I was going to go with Carson.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I wouldn't necessarily pick him as my win pick for points, but if it's a long shot that I could put $5 on, I'm putting $5 on Carson Quapple to win.
Fair enough.
Not because I think he can necessarily, but because those JGR guys take each other out. It's fair. Free game, I think. It's free.
But anyways, give the chat Justin Allgaier.
Yeah.
Now, who is going to be the underdog for this weekend's Cup Series race at New Hampshire, Eric?
We doing underdog or do we do suck pick?
Wait, no, suck. Sorry, yeah.
No, you're good. Suck pick. I was gonna go Denny Hamlin just because it's been funny. He's had major issues 2 weeks in a row. He's probably not gonna have them 3 weeks in a row, but let's just say he does. Denny Hamlin.
I'm gonna go Kyle Busch just because I got to admit, maybe this is the last remnants of the Dale Jr. favoritism in me, but I want to see Kyle Busch succeed, but I love watching his fans freak out over it. It's so damn fun. Like, Kyle Busch fans are the other end of the coin to Chase Elliott fans, and they will never admit it. And it's so damn fun watching Kyle Busch fans, act like it's the end of the world and they're treated so unfairly. So Kyle Busch.
Something's going to be hilarious about this. How similar this track is to Gateway. And although I had him as underdog and he ultimately won the race, I'm going to say Austin Cindric will actually suck at New Hampshire.
Ooh.
Huh.
I saw 16s for Ty Dillon Yeah, I think they're covering their
Yeah,
bases.
just give them Ty Dillon. They don't get to pick them all the time for this one anymore, so just give them to them.
Now we can go dark horse on it.
Yes.
I'll go Ty Gibbs just because he's in a Gibbs car. I know I picked Hamlin to suck, but that's just for funsies. I think Gibbs is going to be strong this weekend. I think Penske will as well, but I want to see what Ty Gibbs can do with a shot to win.
Never thought I'd pick a Rick Ware car, but give me Justin Haley. I think
That's fun.
I think they're good at these shorter tracks, man.
Give me Ryan Preece for the underdog.
I think the chat might. Well, I saw a lot of Priest ones for
I
the
see
chat.
a lot of Berries. I'm glad someone's mentioning Stuart Haas, though. Yeah, I think they're going with Barry.
Josh Berry. Yep.
That's good. Yeah, because I think there should be some
Now
Stuart Haas love this weekend.
Now the ultimate one. We don't know when this race will happen, but we can say who will win. So, Eric, who will win the Cup race?
I think Gibbs will be good, as they've been at many of the shorter flat tracks this year, but lately it's been Team Penske coming on strong. I think Ryan Blaney goes back to back. I feel good about it.
And early won Gateway.
I'm sorry, but the guy who should have won Gateway was Christopher Bell, and I think that Christopher Bell will win this week in the Cup race. So give me C. Bell. He's my number one pick.
I was there last year, and it was looking like it either be Bell or the guy who actually won it. And this race may not happen the day it's scheduled, and who does best in those situations? One last win before retirement for Martin Truex Jr.
Monday Martin.
And goodbye, chat. You don't get that one.
Huff.
I saw they all put a bunch of 20s after Eric's pick, and then a bunch of 19s, and now they got to go. I'm seeing 11s. It's more just people being very angry.
They're not sure which way to go now.
Yeah, they're split. We've broken them up.
Yeah, we've done this before. They're like
I can't even
cats.
find enough consistency for a poll at this point.
But they've done this before, though. They're like cats. They'll land on their feet. They always do. It's
They're starting to
kind of
maybe
annoying.
lean. Maybe Hamlin. I'm seeing some 11s.
I'm seeing 22.
Also seeing some 6.
22, 5, 6, and 11.
You're getting a big poll, guys.
I mean, we might have to do one of those whittle down polls where we put 4 and then whoever are the ones pulling away.
No, I think if they're this split, we should just whoever wins of these 4, that should be their pick.
Well, yeah, but if it's like 2 that are really close and then you have 2 that are far away, like we should have a runoff.
I'm only giving them 3. I'm giving them 5, 6, and 11. Was there another one I'm missing?
5, 6, 11, and 22. There's a good amount of Logano ones in there too.
All right, there you go. Answer me right now.
Poll.
But while they're voting, we can run through some more super chats before we get done for today.
Let's see. Hold
Sounds good
on.
to
Let's
me.
see where the results. Wait, where'd it go? They like disappeared on me. Don't give me a damn AI prompt. I want the poll. Danny, what's the poll looking like?
AI is gonna decide their chat pick.
It's basically a 4-way tie.
Are you kidding me?
They're all around
It's pretty
20.
even.
They're all around 26%.
It's more even for the 5 and 6 at the moment.
Should we like do how many votes are we at?
150.
151. So we're gonna eliminate the 11 now, and we're gonna go to 5, 6, and 22 to make this more even.
Yeah, I think if we do these quick polls and stuff and just go from there. Wow, that's insane. Yeah, because those 11 voters could go elsewhere. I'm interested because we could see them stay close, or we could see them go like a really good like runoff or something.
Yeah, and the 5 and 6 were both even at 28% anyways when I ended that. So I said again, so now they got 5, 6, and 22.
Look at them vote. Look at them go.
This is giving us more direction. Though the 5's pulling back though.
Boys.
Dead even again. Oh, 6. No, that's 5.
This is actually kind of entertaining for the host because we don't have to do anything. I mean, it's kind of looking like Larson is. No, never mind. I mean, it's like it's at 4 point.
And they're actually over the amount of votes we got on that first poll already.
Wow.
Should we just do a runoff between the 5 and the 6 and just that's the ultimate contest?
I don't think we need to. There's a difference of like 6%.
Yeah, I think Larson's starting to pull away. So let's give him Larson.
Yep. You got Larson, guys.
It's not a bad pick either.
6% difference with 185 votes.
I swear to God, if I pick him last week, he has the best car and doesn't win. This week, he'll have like the 5th best car and just back into one. All right. Well, here we go.
Final super chat stage break.
Yep. Let's see here. We ended with Isaac the Jedi. So we're going to pick back up with Rowdy 8 Diecast. Appreciate the $10. Been a KFB fan since I was 9, 24 years old now, and have been privileged to see him win many races and championships. Grateful that since many don't ever see their driver do that, all good things end eventually. That's very true. And glad you say it that way. I got to see him win many, many times in my life too, even if I didn't really want to back then. Austin Blanset, appreciate the 499 from you. Here's a spinoff of Slap Shoes' idea. What if we had a Tennessee Triple Crown, have 3 races in 3 regions of state, bring back Memphis Raceway? That would be pretty interesting, but I don't even know if that track's still even standing anymore. Maybe need to drive out to Memphis sometime, see what it's even looking like these days. Stein 9, appreciate the 499. What are your thoughts on Almirola not in the 20 again for a race he was originally scheduled for? Obviously, there's been rumors, but no real source has talked about it.
You shall see Joel Edmonds on Twitter was kind of just fueling the fire.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't know what exactly happened there, but clearly something went wrong. And I don't think it's as simple as sponsor stop paying. I think there's got to have been some sort of disagreement over there, but I don't know what.
Yeah, there's something to that, but it's also not in our place to really dive too much into those.
Yeah, I don't know how deep or personal it truly is. I don't want to speculate on that front, but something. At some point, I feel like they should put out a statement explaining why. Yeah, like a race that Almirola was announced to be running, he's now not running. Like he's got fans; they want answers.
And also, like if we're seeing a raw deal come in with Almirola here, who's to say that we won't see these kind of disputes for Truex next year? Because he's talking about wanting to go part-time next year. Blake Feeman, appreciate the $1.99, and I'm assuming this is for this year. Best non-throwback paint scheme so far. Quickly, right off the bat, it hasn't hit the track yet, but Alex Bowman's car for Nashville once again looks very, very good. I'm sure it'll look even better in person. But a side note, one I did get to see race this year in person was the Bristol Cheetos Mountain Dew car. That one was pretty cool.
I don't want to like fall in line on this and have a similar answer, but that I think that's been my favorite so far.
Bell Mobile 1 was really sharp.
That is a good one
with the Pegasus on it. I think that's the best like normal one so far. I'm gonna go with that Mountain Dew. Hey, both things you can go to the store, buy, and have a drink of.
Yep, that's very true.
I'm like, wait,
wait, hold on. You can, but
probably not a good idea.
Probably not.
Because if you take a drink of that, you'll have to go see the other sponsor I mentioned, Ally, because you'll need a huge loan to pay for the medical bills. All right. Bobby Blair, appreciate the $9.99. Austin Dillon needs to move into management role at RCR. I think he would bring new energy and make bold new moves to make this team better. Austin is the reason KFB went to RCR in the first place. Yeah, I think we've all been kind of saying that for a little while. It would make sense at this point.
Yeah, eventually I think that will be the thing. It's just, is it next year, 3 years, 5 years? I don't know.
Yeah. NASCAR 2414, appreciate the $9.99. Iowa in person, Cup. Race was exciting with great racing and wrecks, especially Larson wrecking instead of a snooze fest. Xfinity race, exciting race of Sam Mayer stealing the show from tire failures. Glad you had fun, man, and thanks for your recap from being there in person.
Yeah.
Gary Buki, appreciate the $5. Shout out to NASCAR for bringing back Radioactive after Fox ditched Race Hub and Radioactive with it. Really cool of NASCAR to do that. Absolutely, that was one of the most watched online videos that Fox would produce, because they would still put those out there, and they were always watched a lot online too. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, glad it's sticking around.
CBB, appreciate the $5. TV views were up big in Mordor. Huh?
Just keep reading. I want to hear where this goes.
TV views were up big in Mordor. Uzglug, senior ranked orc and noted NASCAR fan, had this to say: "We orcs know like Fox. Peacock meat is back on the menu. What am I not getting here?"
Lord of the Rings.
Peacock
I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
I'm not a Lord of the Rings guy, unfortunately.
Well, I about a month and a half ago showed Riss Lord of the Rings for the first time, and like so it's fresh on the mind for me.
That's a 20-plus-year-old reference right there.
Yeah, but
didn't expect it.
It's arguably the greatest trilogy ever made in movies. Like you have maybe trilogies with better movies in them, like Godfather. You could argue Empire Strikes Back, but like I can't.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
It teetered off towards the end of that.
No, the trilogy was fantastic. The trilogy was elite.
I will say Davy Jones holds up amazingly, but like
he does.
Lord of the Rings, all three movies could be the best movie of another trilogy, like easily.
No, I'm not gonna argue.
Like,
I'm not like a crazy big fan, but they're good.
Like,
they're very good.
I love the OG Star Wars trilogy, but like Return of the Jedi is like there's parts of that, like anything not having to do with Luke and Vader, but I love that one. But man, Lord of the Rings is just goated.
Eric got Ron Keselowski from a Harry Potter reference, and he wants to talk about 20-year-old references. Damn, that's true, chat. Thank you, Snappy.
David Bell, appreciate it. $2. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Hope you're having a great weekend too, David. Appreciate you stopping by.
Absolutely.
And another $2 from David Bell. Appreciate that again. Sent you a message on X, Eric. Driver interview? Question mark?
Oh yes, I will check my DMs after the show.
Absolutely. Get back with him on that. T. Griffin, appreciate the $10. I'll be at the track Sunday. What are the chances NASCAR decides to move the start time from its scheduled 2:30 p.m. slot? 50% chance of showers Sunday afternoon, 91% chance of thunderstorms on Monday. Last year, let's see, I'm trying to remember, it was pretty much storming all morning last year for Sunday. I do think they had originally said, hey, we're going to bump it up a little bit, but ultimately it didn't matter in the end. So I could say that they could try that. I mean, ultimately it just depends on how the weather really is. Andrew Winslow, appreciate the $5. Do you all prefer a 43-car grid of cars falling out every race or a 36-car grid of cars not falling out at all? Personally, I kind of met in the middle and decided 40 was my perfect number.
I mean, I don't like if we're asking starting parks and then 36 because I like having more competitive cars. But I mean, when I go back and watch races in the 90s and late 90s, because early 90s they had lower car counts. No one wants to admit that part. But like late 90s through the 2000s or so before starting parks, like it's pretty legit, man. I mean, it's pretty damn good. If you can get like 40 charters with 3 good open cars, that is the dream scenario for me, modern NASCAR wise. I just don't think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's not the most realistic, but I would agree there. If I had to pick between starting parks or 36, strong cars, I'd probably go with what we have now.
Like, because right now, like, take a team like the 78, Live Fast. They don't show up to many races now, but when they do show up, they're usually coming with a fairly good car. So they're putting all their eggs into the small baskets, or like beard oil. When they come to Talladega and Daytona, they're coming because they know this is the only track they're gonna have a legit shot to compete. So
that's how Colleague was.
Yeah,
it makes it fun to root for. Like now I get excited when some of these cars show up because that they have a shot. When 2311 brings the third car, I'm like, oh, that's an impact. Project 91, for example.
Yeah. Okay, this is a very serious question that we might get a little heated on, guys. I'm just bracing you for this right now.
It's about chicken.
But Grid Flow, appreciate the $2. Do you think Riley Herbst will be the next Jimmy Johnson?
I saw this earlier this week. Eric, take us away.
No, people are all over one. So I did a video where I was like a little hard on Riley, probably a little too hard on Riley, but if he gets a cup ride next year, it's because he has funding. It's not because he's earned it from results. So we can all agree on that. That's objectively correct. But when I said effectively that, I got one comment saying, oh, well, Jimmy Johnson didn't do much in Xfinity. And I thought, oh, okay, it's just one comment. 12 comments later, like all basically saying the same thing, I realized we had an epidemic on our hands where fans were genuinely comparing Riley Herbst to arguably the greatest driver of all time. I understand what they mean. Xfinity stats don't necessarily translate to Cup success. That's fair. I agree. But let's not put Riley Herbst and Jimmy Johnson in the same sentence at this point in time. That's absurd. That's taking your argument a bit too far, is all I will say.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, just looking through his stats, and Jimmy Johnson at least finished top 10 in both of his full-time seasons.
And I don't know that Jimmy's equipment was as good as Herbst in a Gibbs and Stewart Haas car.
He was racing for Herzog, which was at that point starting to falter on their way out. And I'm like, that's
a good way to put it.
But that was also in an era of a lot of bushwhackers too, right?
Yeah. Well, not as much because this was 2001. This was not as much as say like the 2000s. And if you look, his DNFs, he had 4 in 2001, and 3 of them were crashes. Granted, one of those was Talladega, and an engine issue. But his finishes, like outside of DNFs, weren't really that awful with the equipment he had. They were all top 20 with equipment that was starting to fall off. I mean, let's remember, within a year and a half, this team was gone. Plus, if Riley Herbst was really the next Jimmy Johnson, do you think that somebody like a Jeff Gordon who did this with Jimmy Johnson would have picked him out of the crowd already and put him in Cup?
Maybe.
Like he probably will have enough talent to run mid-pack and not, and maybe respectable one day in Cup, but like, come on, this is Jimmy Johnson we're talking about, not modern Jimmy Johnson.
We need to move on from this one. NASCAR 2414, appreciate another $4.99 from you. Anyone been to the Cup race in New Hampshire? Anybody going to New Hampshire this weekend? I was there in 2017 at the last September fall race for now. I was there last year. Again, you can check out my vlog from that one. I will not be at the Cup Series race at New Hampshire this weekend. None of us will be. Bingle still appreciated $2. Do points need to be changed now? Wait, do points need to be changed? Because how is Chase number 1?
He's been consistent.
He has an average finish of 9th, and he doesn't wreck ever.
Oh my God. There's so many fans that have come in since 2017 that would not survive the Chase era.
Yeah.
Or before that. Oh my God. This is I'm realizing how my grandpa feels when he was listening to me talk about like the Chase growing up. Like he's like, kid, you don't understand.
Yeah. Austin Blancett, appreciate the $1.99. Bristol Knight is up against top-end college football games. Yes, it is. And they got extremely lucky because in the past, that same weekend would have been typically where Tennessee would have played Florida. This year, that game falls as the home visit to Knoxville, but that has since been swapped out to an October date this year. They will be in Oklahoma. So NASCAR fans in Tennessee should not be conflicted to go to Bristol this year, at least for this year. Dislike, appreciate the $5. Fantasy booking, Legacy Motor Club gets a charter and puts Kyle back in his OG 84. Toyota gets KFB back.
They have the sponsorship, sure. I don't know.
Do you want to go to Legacy at this point?
Yeah.
Give him a year or two.
Just stay at RCR, bud, if you're going to do that. Mustang 2006, appreciate the $4.99. This may sound stupid, but is it possible to try Daytona in the round of 12 for just 1 year and Dega the regular season finale? Again, I may be dumb.
You're not dumb. It's not a dumb question.
You're not dumb. There are no dumb questions here except the Riley Herbst Jimmy Johnson comparisons. I don't know. I think Daytona as a regular season finale works great. It's already a stretch moving it from the July 4th weekend that a lot of people grew up loving. I think moving it deeper into the fall, you're just, I don't know. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And you could have said that about July 4th, but I for sure think you can say that about regular season finale. It's been moved this year out of necessity, but it will be back next year.
There's no justification for moving it to any other date except back to the 4th or to the finale because you need this to be an important date. And the cutoff race before the playoffs, which I know this year is an odd year, and I think NASCAR got forced in a corner. Like being a cutoff race for any of the playoff rounds, I think is less important because you're focusing on less drivers in a giant pack. Whereas like you're gonna have, if it goes this way, you're gonna have probably 26 different drivers who can go for the win and make a realistic shot at qualifying in. So the only. I want it back on the 4th. Daytona, the city does not. The only way I think they can justify moving it is the finale, and I don't think at the time being they will. Though they could. Conspiracy theory time. I need a tinfoil hat for every time I bring that up.
Ben Lewis, appreciate the $10. Jarrett, you need to be a NASCAR historian with these crazy clues you put out on the random driver segment. Hey, Eric, stop making a fool out of yourself by cussing. Keep up the fun and good work, guys.
Well, I have a notepad that Danny's seen me add random driver facts to that I won't even acknowledge for like 6 months and then just all of a sudden pop it up. So,
like, we were playing NASCAR Dirt to Daytona, and we found this guy that neither of us had ever heard of one time in my life, and I can't even remember this guy's name. I have to fire up the game just to refresh my memory of his name. But Jarrett wrote that one down, and eventually he'll pull that name out of nowhere.
I've already got multiple. Clues ready lined up with that one.
Oh no.
Alessandro Sebastian, appreciate the $10. Spingate eventually turned out to be the biggest blessing in the trajectory of Truex's career. After the scandal, he got an opportunity elsewhere and became a superstar and Hall of Famer. Respect. That is wild how that is entirely true.
Failed
It
upwards.
did work. It worked out in the end.
Failed successfully. Sly Supersonic, appreciate the $10 and 1 cent, 1 cent extra for that 1 mile extra this weekend. Hi, NWP. I just hope KFB keeps his promise at the end of his Cup career. He would go for the Truck Championship to become NASCAR's first ever Triple Crown champion. Danny has said he wanted to see it, and that is true. I would like to see Kyle Busch eventually become the only driver to win a championship in all 3 of NASCAR's top 3 series. Mustang 2006, appreciate the $4.99. After all the talk of Justin Haley, I think he will shock everyone with something never seen before from Rick Ware Racing. A win?
Top 5? Have they finished top 5 before?
They finished top 5.
Yeah, I remember if Cody Ware would have ended up winning that race in 22 at Daytona, I would have won. I think like $50,000.
Was he top 5 in that race?
Yeah, it was like 6 cars left. Remember, because that was the one where like Truex and Blaney finished like 11th and 12th, and they were laps down after being involved in multiple wrecks. I can't remember where he finished.
That was that one where I think someone had a parlay that had like BJ McLeod, Cody Ware, and a couple of other unexpected people in the top 10, and they won like $1 million from that parlay. And I think that forced all the betting people to stop doing NASCAR parlays.
Yeah. That one asshole ruined it for everybody, because back in the day, they'd have people like Alex Bowman going into like Pocono with like plus 10,000 odds. And I'm like, hell yeah, baby, let's get some money. And then now they pay attention to NASCAR because NASCAR betting for like 3 years was like the most untapped market. I won so much money in that time. Like, people are like, how did you go to so many of these trips? I'm like, I had at least one a year extra added because of sports betting.
Jeez.
It was just little, but it'd be just little bets. I'd put $1 and win like, $300 or something. So it's like, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
And it's your reminder to please bet responsibly, folks. Bailey Reichert, appreciate the $2 there. To scare Eric, Herbst and Jimmy Johnson in the same sentence.
All right, okay. Ooh.
It's like that SpongeBob. He's claustrophobic. Ho, ho, ho.
What does claustrophobic mean?
Alessandro Sebastian, appreciate the $5. You guys are right. The Riley Herbst and Jimmy Johnson comparison is dumb. Riley Herbst is the next Richard Petty. I'm kidding.
Well played.
Let's see, Blue Jimmy's in the chat. Don't share your secrets, Jarrett. It's too late. You can't use them anymore.
Yeah.
Like, the odds are... They're pretty good. That's why I jumped on that Cindric one when I had the chance. I was like, plus 25,000. All right, baby, let's go.
Appreciate the $2 from People. Mayer is the next Jeff Gordon, as both raced the number 1 in the Xfinity Series.
Now that's crazy. No,
John
like
Andretti raced the number 1 too.
Oh my goodness.
And Steve Park, and I'm just trying to think of drivers who didn't end up winning all that much after racing the 1.
Well, Truex worked out.
True. Paul Menard
and
raced the 1.
Chastain.
I should just write a note
McMurray.
of all these. all these people that did the one random driver segment, random driver, random driver, random driver.
I know that's a lot to put on yourself to say I am number one. That you're gonna go out there and say I am number one.
It was his hat, Mr. Krabs.
He was number one.
But with that being said, that's all we got for this week. We appreciate everyone who stopped by, who gave it a like so we could unlock a random driver of the week with the annoying Kozlowski family quadruple that we didn't see coming. Appreciate you all being here. Check out this weekend's races at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Check back in next week on June 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time over on the Icebergs channel, as we'll get you caught up from New Hampshire and get you set up for Nashville Super Speedway. So at that, we'll say good night for now, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Drivers, start your engine!
Ready. Green flag, all rolling. All the way out. Stay in. Come on. Bye-bye, on in. See you later. These guys are really good.